earnings season, bro.
Hi everybody, Randy here. I just wanted to apologize for the sound quality in this episode. Now, we recorded over the internet, and as you'll hear when you listen to the episode, I mean, it is listenable, but whenever Danai speaks, there's a little bit of audio interference that pops in. Apologies. Hope you still enjoyed the episode. Apologies. Hi guys, welcome to earnings season. I'm Randy, your host, which you've heard many times before, 31 times before at least, 32 if you're lucky. And this is earnings season, a special earnings season also. But before I tell you how special it is, I'll allow my co-host to introduce himself.
Hi guys, I'm Danai at HDanai on Twitter.
That's right, and I'm Randy Rowe at RTU Rowe. This is the Carib. Yeah, the Carib Corona, the Corona Curfew edition. And I think I have here, we're doing this via Zoom. We're being socially distant, as has been mandated by Sir Brogard himself. Isn't it funny how everybody just calls him Brogard now and it's like nothing?
Yeah.
Right? But when I was at Stocks on the Rocks, I called Nigel Clark.
Oh boy.
God. And I call him that because that's what I call him anytime, as you know, anytime I talk and I say Carpet God. And apparently I hope people don't know what that is about. I
don't even know really. I just
Oh God.
Look round now in a Jamaica. No pure carpet, you see. If you are come here from Orcharias, follow me now. You go on the north-south highway. You depend carpet. You come off north-south, you go on Mandela, and you make a left. You depend carpet. You come up Mandela, and you say, I want to go check Desmond in West Kingston. And you make a right. You depend what? Carpet. And then you come from one square, and you know what them call it? The upstairs, downstairs road. We go up on Washington Boulevard, carpet. We make a left on Constant Spring, carpet. We make a right, carpet. We go up, carpet. Everywhere you look, pure carpet.
So I call one Brogard and one Carpet God. Yeah, and now with this COVID thing that's happening, I'd call the other one Dr. God, but apparently somebody in the past was named Dr. God. You guys can look that up. I won't put that in the show notes. But we need a new name for the Minister of Health, Chris Tufton, who I think has been very visible and doing a very visible job in terms of the management of this crisis. I didn't even, there was no way to avoid it, so let me just start off by just talking about it because it's on everybody's mind, right? And that don't mean to be good or we're great. It just means that we're not Florida. And for the first time, I think we're all happy to not be Florida. We. So, I'm happy that Jamaica is not Florida. I don't know about you, sir. Having said all of that, with a bag of chatting, which is what you guys came here for, right? I hope so.
And they listen to us chat every week, so at this point,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, almost every week, right? Almost every week. So this is the Corona Curfew edition. I'll get to again, but I get around to why it is I wanted to do this one. And there are a bunch of reasons why we're doing it. But I tell first to the person listening to this, you're listening to this right now, doing whatever it is that you do on your own while listening to a podcast. Hello, I'm Randy. Why we're doing this is, if you've been following me on Twitter for a long time, so I don't mean 2-3 years ago, I don't mean since stocks get popular. If you've been following me for a long time, you know that one, I chat too much. Two, or if you really know me, you know I really like to, I joke a lot, not just that jokes. And three, you know, I care a lot about finance, I care about stocks, I care about business, I care about a lot of things, right? But when I started on my public financial journey, how do I say this? When I started on my public financial journey, I was in a place where I mean, I didn't know anything, right? And afraid of maths. People don't know that. I say it, I guess, if you've been to Grow, if you've been to any of the sessions or the things that I do, the classes I do, you've heard me say it. But yeah, believe it or not, I was one of them afraid of maths people. But I'm not afraid of money. Nobody's afraid of money. I pretty much was just having to teach myself because I need the money. I take the money. And I won't go through my whole story now. I can do that on some other episode. But the point is I had to teach myself. I realized that it's something that anybody can pretty much do on their own, right? In terms of what I taught myself and what I learned. And so the fear of math didn't turn me off from doing it. And then I realized it was so good and it's actually working because it's something that I've always done. But I started to wonder whether or not, can I really do this? And can anybody else really do it? And again, this is somebody who's afraid of maths, right? But then dealing with money. So I didn't want to screw up because I was using money. And 2, I didn't want to be lost out there. And 3, I didn't want, when I found out that it worked, I didn't want to keep the good news that I'd found out myself. I think on which episode we had Kalila on, Dana, you remember?
Which episode? No more episode? No, I do not remember.
One of them. But you look out for the Kalila, big up Kalila. If you look out for the Kalila, yeah, man. If you look out for the Kalila episode, you hear her talk about how when she found out about stocks and what actually it is and how it works and how you can make money from it, blah, blah, blah. How big a deal it was for her and how she just wanted to share it with people. And it's the same way for me. I run off my mouth too much, as you guys have heard over the last few minutes. So I decided that I needed to run off my mouth and tell people, make everybody else know. And I wanted to see if everybody else could do what I was doing. And I don't want to say special. I want to say something that any and everybody can do, right? And so I tried it, meaning to tell people about it. And it worked. And so there's always that feeling of somebody just starting out, which is why I'm saying all of this. There's always a feeling of somebody just starting out. And I was doing it. This is back when Twitter was, you actually were saying what it is that you're eating for lunch today. So the old days. So I actually, like Facebook. But yeah, I started to tell people about investing a lot. And I carried people along the journey in a way that if you're a beginner, you can get a chance to start. And this is what I have learned. And there's certain little weird things that I do and certain weird ways in which I do it and things I say and things I don't say. And the reason why I do it that way is because X, Y, Z. And the reason why it is because you need to learn it on your own. And I want you to be able to do it without me, blah, 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 blah. I believe, I'm saying all this to say that I believe that there should always be a path for the beginner, right? When I was talking to Daniel a little earlier about this episode, I told him that there's something I'd tell him later on, which is that I was somebody pretty much draw me up and say, they love the podcast, they love the content, they really enjoyed it. And they're talking about the last episode or the episode before last, the one with just you and I. And they're saying that, the thing is, there was the first part of this Corona thing and people scared the market dropped like, oh, but you sound like you're talking almost like you don't remember that there are people who just start out. And I thought, wow, you're right. Because I really do the podcast with Danai every week. And our conversations are not really beginner anymore, are they, Danai? What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've really left that. It's really hard to speak about the same thing every time. So I think that's where it comes from. We get up on top of the beginner all over again. Kind of hard to think that, get that thought process going to actually think, to speak on the same thing I spoke about a couple episodes ago.
Yes. And I say it all the time on the episode that then the conversations you hear on this, although a lot of them are edited, the conversations you hear on this, a lot of them are actually real conversations as Dana and I actually having conversations about stuff. That's why a lot of the editing actually started to happen, because we literally had to, we have something in mind and we're talking about it and they're like, oh, I don't want to say this publicly yet, or I don't want, I think, or if I play, I don't want to push out yet, blah, blah, blah. And so we have the conversation, and a good part of it I forget cut, but the point is we had the real conversations. No, when you say, when I say that, we have the real conversations and we're actually talking, I mean that we talk a lot of times on the level where we talk. So, right, we lose a lot of the beginners, I think. And I think a lot of people have learned about investing recently, very recently too. Like, I did hear about Wicton and the Trans Jamaica thing I come on, now make that miss me. which again, I can understand. A lot of people didn't make it miss them. I mean, a lot of people got in know for Trans Jamaica. And a lot of people would have then searched about stocks. They're hearing about a podcast for the first time. They're listening. They love the old episodes, but let's admit it. I mean, we have episodes that go almost 4 hours here. I think they're great, but people tend to be daunted, especially before they start listening. I hear the same thing a lot from people. You get the same line. I'll never forget how it started out with us. We start the podcast and I say, yo, we're doing quality. However long it lasts is however long it lasts. People say, no, a podcast should be 45 minutes to an hour. And I say, no, quality is quality. However long it lasts is however long it lasts. People say, yeah, man, it's too long. But a couple of people listen. People like it. Second one long. I remember the first time Dana and I did a short episode. We were rushing to go do something else. And we did an episode right before we did. And then we sent it out. Bare message, yo, how this so short? I forgot to 2 this week for make up for it. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but people often switch once they realize that something good is there, which I understand. But until you've climbed that little hill, you've gotten over that hump, you are always going to be looking at it as daunting and saying, oh my God, it's 3 hours. There's nothing could be telling us about stocks that could last for 3 hours and still be important, right? And you might actually be right. But other people might tell you you're wrong. Anyway, why all this yapping? Point is, I want to do something very specific and open and clear for the beginners, right? And this one requires some conversation. So, let me just go straight into it. As something I noticed, I have been quiet mostly for the last few, however long, but I've been quiet, especially since the market dipped. Well, obviously not quiet with you. Well, even quiet with you because you've been busy and I've been busy.
I think I've been more quiet than you.
Yeah. Yes.
I don't really talk. I haven't been speaking much. I wonder if people that follow me for me speaking about investing are disappointed.
You bring back the jokes.
Yeah.
And I've been staying quiet and just looking at what the responses have been from the industry and this is the reason why I came with that whole huge speech at the beginning, sermon at the beginning. Because I've always believed that there should be a path for the regular man or woman to be able to follow without going to accounting school, without being a finance specialist, right? There should be a path that you can follow and be able to get somewhere in terms of your money. Don't mean that you have to become Warren Buffett, but you should be able to go, okay, I want to start investing in stocks and there should be a resource for you. I want to start doing XYZ, there should be a resource for you. You say, okay, in stocks now, I would like my portfolio to go, I want to make 200% in 3 months, right? You should be somewhere you can go where they'll tell you, hey, 200% in 3 months, that's heavy. That's a lot. For you to be able to do that, that's very, 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 do I say hard? What's the right word there, Danai? 200% in 3 months is what? If you walk into a house as a regular person, assuming that there was a house that's like magically good.
Very dedicated. You do that there.
Yeah, you kind of have
and
to.
If you're in only, and say in only stocks, it might not be. It depends what's happening with whatever company that's going to give that. Maybe there's no company in the market that will give that right now. Maybe you have to be in the right company at the right time. That's how that work for you. And good luck with whoever helping you with that.
Yeah. Somebody walks into a brokerage house and asks for 200% in 3 months. I'd expect the brokers to go.
Yeah, no go so.
Yeah, that's not what you come to a broker for. For you want to get 200% in a month, then you're going to have to go for it for yourself, right? And I believe that for a regular person, especially ones that don't know anything about finance, there should be that road that they can go. They should be able to have that place they can go to get the start. So they want it. And when they come with something like a 200% in 3 months, there should be somebody there to say, hey, that is actually kind of hard, guys. So I believe that there should be a path that anybody can follow, even if they're a beginner, even if they're new, even if they don't know nothing about numbers, they're kind of afraid. There should be a path that you can follow. And when good things happen, there should be a path there for somebody saying, hey, how do I get onto this good thing? How do I get onto this myself, right? I asked a couple of my brethren today and yesterday, where has the response from the overall industry been for what has been happening in the market, right? I talk straight. I say, outside of telling everybody to not to panic, to calm down, and quoting Buffett like Bible scriptures.
The same quote everywhere.
Like I see that I have to drop it too because I was like, yo, okay, be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. All right, cool. But what that mean to me?
Buffett must be tired, man.
He lives another day for every time somebody quotes him. That's why he's been around. That's his secret. His secret to his long life value. Not that there's anything wrong with that saying, by the way. It's 100% true. It's just that the truth is, if you are a regular non-finance person, that don't really mean nothing to you. Oh, be brave when others are fearful. Okay, what that mean, brother? More want to know what going for the NCB. Wait, how much NCB there right now?
Less than $200.
Less than $200. Wow.
152.83.
152.83. God damn. Okay, so the thing that I haven't said with all of this yapping is that we're doing the live episode, and so we're doing it live via Zoom. And so we have a bunch of people in there. At this moment, there are 90. My God, there are 90 people in the chat on Zoom.
I asked them. I was surprised at the amount of people, and the response was that they can't leave the houses, so might as well.
Oh, that's smart. You see how smart my marketing is. So I put together, get them when they can't move.
Yeah, but then we're second best.
I don't want to hear about being brave when everybody else is fearful. Yeah. Blah blah blah. When NCB.
To me, it just sounds like they have nothing else to say. To be honest, like the best you can say is something somebody else said.
Yeah, and I'm not knocking that because I get
I'm not knocking it either. I, as you said, I find it's a very true statement. My boy, a big Buffett fan. So,
yeah,
there's no problem. But it can't be that the only thing you have to say is Warren Buffett XXX whenever I'm say it. Nah.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that to say that people aren't making moves. I mean,
some move makers. Big up Shanice.
Oh yeah, big up Shanice completely. Yeah, the top striker herself. And there are people making moves. I spoke about Pulse, and I think since the time I tweeted about Pulse till now, I mean, Pulse has given, even if you did get in the Friday or the Monday, you'd have been up 25%. And in this market where everybody is balling, all right? 25%. And that's just one thing. And I like to say that one because it's an easy one for me to remember. But my point here is I have not heard a big, strong, comprehensive response coming from anywhere in the industry yet saying, guys, what's happening is XYZ, and here is how you get out of it, or here is what you do in there, or here's what you do, blah blah blah, in any specific situation. Yeah. I'm not hearing a strong industry response. And I guess maybe it's just a shock. It is coming. I saw JMB did their session a couple of days ago. That was pretty cool. I listened in on that, and they had a couple of experts in there, and those guys were big up Kerry because Kerry seemed to moderate it, and those guys actually went as far as to, I saw Kerry push them to actually say a couple of stocks, say a couple of things that you find you like and you're enjoying, or that you think provides or will provide value in the near term. I also noticed that the thing that used to be such a big quarreling point a year or 2 years ago about how short-term gains go. Back when I somehow gained the short-term gain thing, title is now being pushed normal. I hear people talking about what gains can be found soon. People looking for what will happen next quarter. And I'm thinking 3 months. I am so happy now that I'm here.
Find that even though sometimes it takes a while, but common sense almost always shines through. So
yeah, that's true.
It doesn't catch very slowly, but it's still contagious.
It does catch
very quickly.
Let's not say anything about contagious right now, all right?
That was the point.
I get you. I guess that jokes can come from young people.
That's not a bad joke, bro.
Oh my God. Anyway, like I said, only JMB have I seen like a strong response from in terms of the sessions that they've been holding. I think Barita also had a couple of things. Okay, yes, I seen here in the chat, Alvin Edwards said that Barita did a session on Instagram, yeah. And yo, maybe I'm still the bad guy in the industry that I just calling things as I see them. But I can't see a regular person seeing any guidance here. I still hearing the same set of questions from people. Yo, what I must do? And you press them, them say yes, and if you press them long enough, them even quote the buffet to you, There's a couple of people quote the buffet back to me, be greedy when others are fearful. I say, yeah, so what you buy? Why? But no, here's the thing, right? Exactly. The people are scared of stocks, right? They want to enjoy the thing, but they're still scared. So them go in and then buy the safest thing them know. I buy NCV, I buy Seprod, I buy Wisinko. Right now, somebody will go, yes, that's what I wanted to buy. And Fontana. So they will buy them thing there, right? Fontana is like them scary thing. If you would not believe how many people have fit that mold. NCV, Wisinko, Seprod, Fontana, and some of them might throw in a Carreras, because it's safe, you get dividends. And I can tell you what are some of the stocks that have dipped heavily. NCV, Wisinko, sometimes Carreras, Seprod, and of course Fontana. Fontana has gotten a hell of a dip, although it has come up a little now, right? So instead of keeping the balling and the yapping and the quarreling and the saying how the industry not doing blah, 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 I figure let me just do my part. Let me just actually start talking about some of the things that I see. Let me start talking from the perspective of somebody who's just starting out, and maybe not just starting out. Let me try and channel that perspective, but not just starting out, but also like you started out a little while ago and you made some money, you made some nice money, but this is your first dip. For a lot of people, it's the first time they ever see a dip in anything, right? And them scared to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
when the people that hear you, that's usually saying, yeah man, everything cool. Kind of quiet. So are them saying the same thing?
Exactly. And they're not hearing nothing else from nobody else really. Right? The truth is you can only hear the Buffett quote so many times before you start saying, yo, I really don't know what's going on. And I know this because right now, I am sure people would love for me to detail a couple of stocks for them. I see the stuff that David, big up David, JC Knight 2. I got that right. He's actually in the chat. We might make him talk a little later on. Big him up for doing a light analysis started. A light analysis of, what was it? Wisinko, I think. And the Wisinko.
One every week.
Or one every day, something like that. And the light analysis is getting the grandest response because of how small the field of people doing something like that out there is. And it shouldn't be that small. A kind of shame, right? You get me? Then I'm going to try and do my part to show the path. And that was my whole point, that I'm trying to go back to that. I kind of lost focus along the way. I'm trying to go back to that focus.
Tangents.
Exactly. We got lost in the tangent. I got lost in a tangent in life. And so I'm trying to bring it back here. So having said all of that, this one is for the regular people. All right. No, this episode is going to be a little different also, not just because we're live and we're going to be taking some of your calls, your calls as if we're on the radio. But also we want to have a couple of segments that we break it down. We break it down to 3 large segments and we'll ask a couple of questions. And then with those questions, when we get those questions answered, we might move on to another segment, all right? So we're going to start off with a couple of the very early questions. And this one, it was around housing. And for that one,
bring in the brick boss.
I'm going to bring in the brick boss herself. Miss, say her name, Dada?
Brick boss, man. We should play her theme song.
What? Yeah, but what's her name, sir? You have to say her name.
No, you say it, sir. You say it. Say her Twitter. What's her Twitter name?
Her name is Jillian Jackson, the one and only Jillian Jackson. And so her Twitter name is Miss. And her Twitter is at Miss Jilly J.
Okay, you got it right there.
Wow, Randy.
Welcome, Jillian.
Hi, everyone. Good night. So what do you want to know about housing?
Here's one thing that people were talking about 6 months ago that I think we all forgot. You remember when housing was like really expensive in Kingston, and it's definitely definitely in a housing bubble, and the housing bubble is definitely going to absolutely burst, and this is madness. How can I pay 40 million for a studio apartment in New Kingston? That's crazy, blah blah blah, right? And then along came Corona. So having said that,
yeah, I would say all those people are still wrong. So on the episode that I went on, we discussed this, and I told you that I didn't think that we were in a housing bubble because of a few reasons. Mm-hmm. One being that the demand for housing was just so high. It still is high. Nothing has changed. Another being that one of the criteria that depict a housing bubble is that the mortgage companies or the lenders start to have questionable practices, and they didn't have it then, and I don't think they're having any questionable practices. No, they are offering a lot of sweet deals now for persons who are in trouble, but those deals are heavily risk weighted, heavily assessed, and they're provisioned for, which means that the banks put away or the lenders put away some money to account for that risk. So they're still not involved in any sketchy practices, and the demand is still there. What I do think will happen though in the short term, because persons are now out of work or have lost a stream of income, so they're probably either going to struggle to pay rent or pay their actual mortgage.
Yep.
So you not being able to pay your rent, you affect somebody who is possibly paying a mortgage on that same property. And then if you live somewhere else and you're paying a mortgage as well, that will definitely have some kind of effect on the housing market. Will it be a big effect? I don't think so in the long run, because the demand is still going to be there. What's going to happen, I think, is that sales might slow down. So if we're in a lockdown period now, there's not much shopping going on for anything, including houses, I would think, because I would have to go to your house and expose myself, or, I would have to open up my house if I'm selling it to anybody coming in to look at it, and just people are not willing to do that kind of exposure right now in the short term. And I'd say the short to medium term. So nobody's really buying or selling now anyway. So that might cause, I would say, a slowdown in sales of properties, but I don't know if it would change the price too drastically, because eventually when things open back up, I don't see that the price is going to go very far down in comparison to what it is now across the market. The only thing that might affect it in a negative way is the Airbnb market. So we discussed that a little bit as well.
That's exactly what I wanted to talk about, because right now the Airbnb people bleeding,
Yes, so they are. They're going through a rough patch, to call it something
right,
nice. Sir, a rough patch.
I know somebody who take them Airbnb backup money and put it in Trans Jamaica.
Oh boy.
Wow. She also jumped out. I said to her, yo, you've heard me say this on my podcast. You hear me talk about it to you before. We talk in person. Take your time. You say you wanted it for 5 years? Chill. So she jumped out at when it did the 120 little bit, when it did a big drop.
Oh gosh.
Oh my Lord, man.
All right. Well,
and then she lock up in her house now. Boy, I don't know. Guys, say a prayer for people who are locked up. But yeah, sorry. But yeah, that's how bad it can get. That's how bad it can get.
Yeah. And yeah, I was talking about this other night. I was saying that there are persons who they just buy houses to rent it out, and they have a mortgage on the house, and they've accumulated 10, 20 houses that all have mortgages due, and they're in a bind right now. So over leveraging to do Airbnbs might not have put you in a good position right now, because nobody knows when it's going to open up again, and the face of tourism and short-term stays might change drastically. So what I think will happen is that those people they have a couple of options. They can either change to longer-term rentals. So we might see an increase in the long-term rental market. You might see a lot more properties on the market now, or a few more properties on the market now that you would normally not see being rented for a long-term period. You'd see an influx of those possibly. Those persons can decide to just lock up their houses and not do anything with it. So you just have a lot of vacant properties around the place, which it might happen in the short to medium term. Or those persons can decide to sell the properties because right now, as you know, mortgage rates are at an all-time low. And with the announcements by the minister in March, they're expected to go down actually further because of the fact that he reduced the NHT rate. Last year when they reduced it, they saw a 74% increase in the number of NHT loans. So notwithstanding Corona.
Fly past that, man. Say it again.
He announced in Parliament in his budget debate that Dr. Nigel Clark that last year, as a result of some of the initiatives of reducing the NHT rate by 1% and decreasing the stamp duty and transfer tax and increasing the amount you can borrow from the NHT, all of those things combined help to increase the number of persons applying for NHT mortgages by 74%, which is huge. So the fact that that again this year, the mortgage rates have gone down. Initially, the asset tax was supposed to have gone down and, we had to roll that back or defer it for a year. But those two things would have pushed mortgage rates down further. The asset tax being a tax on the banks that they would then pass along to the customers in terms of a reduced interest rate. So those things would have pushed mortgage prices down further. So mortgage prices being at an all-time low and housing prices right now still being relatively high would incentivize persons who have those Airbnbs to try and sell those properties. It might, if they don't have any other option. If they don't see anything happening in the next couple of months and they're in a bind, they might be forced to sell them. So you might see an inflow of properties from that market. And remember, there are only about 9,000 to 10,000 Airbnb properties in Jamaica. So it's not a very large market, but it's in the Kingston and St. Andrew area, you definitely see, and Montego Bay, you could possibly see an increase in houses to the market soon.
It's a whole opinion. You use a lot of the bank talk again because a lot of people get lost. And what you're saying simply is that, a whole heap of house might get sell.
Yeah. I thought that's what I was saying.
No, but sometimes I would say that's and you see that little difference is just the real difference between the regular miner. Because you and I got what you're saying. And to me it's clear, but I have to admit that I've spoken to enough people to know that sometimes they just don't get it. And worse, if they don't get it like that, they're almost afraid to ask or to say. But yes, simply what you're saying is that a whole heap more house might sell. Going to sell, as a matter of fact.
And then there might be a lot of houses available for sale, and then people, just like investment, it's a time, right now it's a time to, you would say it's a time to buy stocks, So
when others are fearful.
Right. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to get called a Buffett Bible photo.
You're not going to get cussed for Buffett here.
Right. So people might look at this as an opportunity as well if it actually comes to fruition and there are lots of houses on the market that were not previously there. People might use this as an opportunity. Again, mortgage rates are at an all-time low and they expect it to go lower. So it might actually be a good time to look at buying, even though nobody really wants to be out and about looking at houses right now, but on paper.
On paper, right? Yeah, you can use a lot of, what's that site? Well, you just know the NMLS numbers, right? That's how it works.
You're right. Go check out your real estate brokers and your real estate agents' websites and see what's coming up now. And then how I think it might. There's one more thing I wanted to touch on, the construction industry. So as you know, we get a good amount of supplies from China in relation to construction, and how the supply chain has slowed down because of the virus and everything. So construction might have some delays, or the construction of new properties. That's the only other thing that I can say that you could look out for. So the new constructions being delayed, and then the existing houses going on the market, you might actually see a lot of houses on the market, as you said. Enough houses will be out there.
Yeah. Well, here's a little piece that nobody talk about, that people are feeling it. Yeah. What about the people who can't sell the place, right? You buy the place for 25 million, you use a 2.5 mil deposit plus your fees or whatever, but you did that out of pocket. So you owe your mortgages, what that work out to, Danai, Matsman?
Not even
22.5 mil.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant actual mortgage payments.
No, but 22.5 mil. I just doing rough math here, right? And you've had the place for a year. You've hit a lot. The interest payments have been heavy at the start of every mortgage, as you know.
Right.
And the Airbnb, and here's the touchy point, which is realistic. The Airbnb probably isn't going to make enough for you to cover the mortgage, but it might offset a lot of the mortgage, right? In a good month, or sometimes it might make more.
It might.
Yeah, but it might. It depends on where it is and what you can get for it. But the point is, your 22.5 mil mortgage is now maybe a 21.5 mil mortgage. So you knock off the first million or the first 2 mil, but you still have 20 mil on it. You can't sell the place some more because nobody now buy it. Because maybe it's a 5 mil place that got, with the whole crazy things are in Kingston, you can sell it for 20 mil. You got it for 25, but you can't really sell it for 20 right now. You sell it for 20, you're going to be upside down. What they call, you might be down by 2 or 3 mil, and you do have 2 or 3 mil to be down by. Those people might very well be stuck.
Yeah,
and those are the people that are asking, what the hell do I do right now?
And I mean, it's definitely something that you have to sit down and work out and calculate with, especially your financial advisor, with your mortgage officer. Because, all right, another thing that I forgot to mention is that, I did touch on it a little bit. The banks are offering a lot of, I call it sweet deals, but I've never, in my lifetime of working in the industry, I've never seen so many banks come out at the same time offering these kinds of deals or these kind of options for their customers. So like PSOJ on their site has a list of all of the banks and what they're offering. A very good diagram. It's just a table that has, based on what each bank is doing under certain categories. I had it up a while ago and I lost it. But basically they're up to 12 months of loan forgiveness, of payment forgiveness. No, wrong word. Up to 12 months of a mortgage moratorium, which means you don't have to make a payment for 12 months. Or they could ask you to just pay interest for 12 months. They're also looking at reducing interest rates. It's a discussion that you'd have with your bank. So you could reduce the interest rates or extend the term of the loan, which means like you take it from 30 years to 35 years. And what that does is just bring down your payment some more. You're going to pay more interest over time, but it brings down your payment, your monthly payment, so you can manage for a little bit longer if you're without an income. So the banks are giving you options. So I would advise that person to first talk to the bank and see what option they have. And if they can bring down the payment or not make the payment for a while, so as what David said by next year we'll be back in business. That's what he was talking about before he came on the podcast.
So I have avoided touching the timing, and I'll touch it later on. If you want, you guys stay. I will talk about it. I will talk the timing because I have my own ideas around the timing. And
no problem. So whenever we come back on board, or whenever things are back to the new normal, I won't say normal because nothing is going back to normal. The new normal. When things get back there, you would be able to you can make your regular payments again. You can have a discussion with your bank, I would say, and go from there and see what can happen for you in terms of payment holiday or payment moratorium.
Yeah. So I see in the chat, Brandon Thomas said, I doubt there will be any mass selling of properties. They have options with the banks for their mortgages and have long-term rental options. Yeah. And I hear a lot of things like that, but that's so easy to type. That's not realistic. You think right now, if you can make your payment, you can walk into Scotia and go, hey, you guys have some of those long-term rental options. No, the bill due the 25th. That's how it works, right? There's no long-term rental option. It's a big deal to put somebody in your property.
Yeah,
big deal. You're talking like a top landlord.
No, it is, and some landlords they've gone through the hassle of doing it, and they're just like, it's not an option for them. They're not interested in doing long-term rentals. And Airbnb was their go-to, and know that it's not there anymore. They might just say, "Sure, I'll sell it."
Yeah, and not just that, we always come. I'm gonna stop. Sorry, Danai. Go ahead, Danai.
I was agreeing with Julie, but I was saying thing there. The long-term rental, your Airbnb for the whole time. Nobody's going to just pop up on your doorstep, know of all the times and say, I really want to rent this space for 12 months. You just might not happen like that. Yeah. Somebody lose them. If all people getting laid off right now, you think I'm looking for a place to rent?
True.
That's true. And the truth is also, if you are not just laid off, right? The people who have these properties, realistically, I cannot do anything other than Airbnb. Airbnb. I could Airbnb this apartment for $150 a night. Airbnb's fees come out of it. The cleaning fee. Well, there's a couple of fees that come out of it, and I do the cleaning myself. Or maybe I have a lady that come and do the cleaning for me. And when it done, if I'm lucky, I make 98. Let's say I make 100 if I'm really lucky. So 150 a night, and maybe 100 comes to me. But I have to keep that place rented for maybe 15 to 16 days of Airbnb for the month in order to make my mortgage. 15 or 16 days, you can just do the quick maths. 15 or 16 days at the 150, that's 2,250 US. And we said that we actually get 100 off it, and that means that you're getting the 1,500 a month right there to cover your mortgage, right? But the reality is I also can't really rent the place for 1,500 US a month. I might look and can rent it for 1,000 US a month, but can't rent it for 1,500 US a month, which means that if I cannot Airbnb the place, I cannot afford a mortgage. So I might have to foreclose on it because I can't sell it. I can only sell it if somebody will buy it. Yeah, so that's a simple, true reality.
Something so nice in reality, but it's something so nice until reality hits you, right? Exactly.
And that's something that people have to think about. That's the kind of thing that I talk about all the time. You have to be realistic with your money, because the truth is, the reality of that situation, even if you don't say it to yourself or believe it or deal with it yourself, it doesn't change how real it is. That mortgage has to pay on the 25th. And if you don't pay it on the 25th and you miss the first, by the end of the first week, you get a call from the bank. They just check in if everything is all right. Mr. Rowe, everything is good with you. You missed a payment here. When can you do this for us? And there's going to be a small fee. And they're not waiving that fee either. They're not waiving that fee because NCB need to give me that $1 dividend every quarter.
Exactly. Shareholders
are waiving fees. Maybe
yeah,
not
Gina. Well, that's a good thing to talk about. So you mentioned the link, and guys, I saw in the chat the link has been shared. And if you're listening to this at a later date or you're listening to this on the podcast, the link is definitely in the show notes. Yeah. So the link to what the bank relief packages are. I mean, some of them are there, but some of them, big up to NCB for starting it. And then you remember all the others who started moving, Julian?
All of the others? You want?
No, just tell me about just one that maybe you might be close to or know or anything like that. No.
Well, the one that I would be close to, or the one that I would know, is my bank.
Okay.
Because when I got an email from them very early on that said that they were offering up to the 12 months to waive you, 12 months moratorium, waiver of late fees until April 30th, and then the option to refinance with the longer payments or the lower interest rates, and several other things. So yeah, that's the one that I think had I won't say the best, but had the term to waive it, but to defer its payments for 12 months. That's the only bank that had that. Everyone else was 6 months or 3 months.
Perfect. I know somebody. You want to tell people where that is? Or
that's JN, sorry.
Okay.
That's JN Bank.
Big up JN for that. So they have their 12-month moratorium. It's a deferral or moratorium.
Yeah.
Waiver of late fees and relief financing with flexible repayment terms.
Building societies and JN is not a bank, and the member-owned thing, they usually speak about how much better they are for the clients, and that's an example of that. The fact that they're 12 months, everybody else is way less.
Yeah, members first. That's our motto.
Yeah, so it pays to be a member there.
Yep.
Yeah, I would love to be a shareholder there, but that's another story for another time.
Members are shareholders. Member owned.
Yeah,
member owned. That means you're a shareholder.
I know what you're trying to say anyway.
You know exactly what I'm saying, but that's okay.
Yes. Let us know.
So again, if I can just cap that, Gillian and well, Dana, you have any views on? I'll say what I think, and then Dana, you can say what you think, and then we'll move on to another segment. And thank you again, Gillian. But you don't have to run just yet. But thank you just for that point.
No problem. But I have a bone of contention.
Okay. Go ahead.
I saw your tweets about the liquidity of a stock versus the liquidity of a real estate. What?
Ooh.
Expound on it for me.
Ooh. No, man, I'm not going to expound you. Tell me the part that you never like.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
it's not- no, I joke. You know, I'm just kidding. You know, I'm joking around. But I saw what you said that persons who say that they can't sell their house in this crisis because if something went wrong and there's like emergency, they can't sell their house. Like they're more liquid with that stock. And I agree with that. That's true. But I think you're expounding further with some other points. I just wanted you to refresh my memory on what those were.
Okay, if I can remember here, I don't remember the exact words. And
you mentioned a second mortgage on the house.
Yeah, all right. So the options available to people, is that what you want to know, or you just want to know my general point, Julian?
Your general points, yeah.
Okay, so my general point was that people often say that, you know, they don't want to tie their money up in stocks, you know? Yeah, you know, it took me 3 years to get this 2 million saved, and I'm going to just tie all of it up in stocks. So I don't want to tie my money up in stocks, so you want to put in somewhere else so I can get a little bit in case of emergency. What people don't realize is that stocks by itself is in case of emergency. You can encash money. Yeah, the longest. Yeah, that was one part. But there might be parts that you don't agree with, you know. So there might be one part. But the main point there was that, yo, if you have $1 million in NCB shares, let me not even go NCB. Let's say Fontana. You have 300,000 Fontana, and a little emergency you need you lost your job because of Corona. All right. They're laying people off, and you need to make it through the next 2 months. And you need that money, but lock up in Fontana shares right now. It's not really locked up. You can sell some of those shares.
Mm-hmm.
And on the flip side, you can also borrow against some of those shares. And I'll touch both of those points later on again. But the easy thing to say, the simple version is that you can get to cash from a stock position very, very quickly, and even without selling. A house, you can borrow against a house if you've paid it off, or you can borrow against the difference between your mortgage and the value of the property.
The value of the property, yeah.
Is that done very quickly though? Janelle, you can tell me.
I would say probably not, depending on where you go though. It would take a couple of weeks to get, because it's a home equity loan. It would take a few weeks possibly.
Wow. Yeah. And if your land valuation isn't recent, if you haven't valued the property recently.
Yeah, you'd have to reevaluate.
How long do valuations last? Just generally.
For a house, I don't know if there's a time period, but I think if you done it in the past year, you'd be okay.
A year. Wow. So God forbid it's 2 years ago you did it, and the emergency like and you need the money by Wednesday you need the money. And you have to go bank Monday morning. Can you imagine having to go to the bank Monday morning? First of all, you're going to be way out in the sun because social distancing. So everybody stand up outside. So
the loans officers come to you these days. You don't have to go to the bank for a mortgage.
Wait, but not let nobody in my house, mom. Right now, no. You have to stay out the road. Like quick plate.
If they go to the bank, it's the same person you'd be seeing.
But they even trust some of them people in the bank, them cough and touch the money and I'm joking, but yeah, you get the idea. It's not as quick, and that was the point I wanted people to get. That it's not as quick.
And I will agree with that point 100%. It's definitely not as liquid.
Yeah, man. We can come have our proper real estate argument episode one day if you want.
Another time, for sure.
Another time. All right, cool. On that note, I'm going to turn to a second question. This one I know you know, Danai, because you were talking about Corona and its effects on how it's hitting our economy and the things that are rising up now as a result of that. I mentioned Quick Plate just now.
Yes, COVID-19 and the new e-commerce openings have come with it.
Yeah.
So what are the new e-commerce? What are the new e-commerce openings that have come with COVID-19? I think would be the question.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So we've seen a lot of the opportunity that has come. And guys, as you can tell, I mean, instead of just saying it, I'm trying to show it. You heard us say it before, though. Yeah. That we see this entire situation as an opportunity. That's not to say that we don't have an issue with what's happening, or that we're happy about it. We're not necessarily happy about it, right? But you never waste a good crisis. And out of some of the tightest situations, the baddest situations, can come really good advances. So for this example, I'm going to invite Gordon Swaby. Gordon, can you hear us?
Yeah, man, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, man, we can hear you. Welcome, Gordon.
Yeah, man. Go down there.
How you doing, guys? Night, everyone.
So,
Good in the garden, how is it?
I'm good enough. I'm good.
so guys, Jillian, who was just on, you can hear on, I think, episode 20, or is that the Gift of Fans? If not 20, on our first episode of 2020. Should we call her the Brick Boss? And Gordon is on our episode, I don't remember which one, but somebody will tell me later on. But he's on an episode after that, and he shares a space with Jermaine Henry. And they both talk about tech, and we had a good, I think, a great episode. Gardner here says, quarrel me and you upon the thing I quarrel.
Well, we've been quarreling for years. It's all right.
But yeah, we used to it. But no, we weren't quarreling, guys. It was a great episode. But so we spoke about a point that we had from before around startups. And then we spoke about the general market and things that we expected. And the reason I'm saying that, and the reason I have Gordon here is because Gordon does run I don't know if you can still call it a startup at this point. Gordon does have an e-commerce business though. He has an online business, locally built, which I like. And that's why we brought him here, because also in the face of what's been happening with coronavirus, we've seen where his company, EduFocal, has really stepped up. So yeah, so Gordon, I hand it over to you. You can tell us your story.
Yeah, man, thanks, Ron. It's so funny that you mentioned this whole startup thing. I was in a meeting the other day, and somebody pointed out to me that in the acronym MSME, micro, small, medium enterprises. And then they said to me, oh, based on your staff count and your numbers, you're no longer small, you're no medium. And I'm like, yo, that's crazy. I didn't even think about that, right?
What a thing.
Yeah, it's just in the day-to-day, you're not really thinking about it and how your numbers are moving in a particular direction and think to yourself, oh, I'm no considered medium size, but no, I still consider EduFocal a startup. We still have startup issues, but I'm grateful for all of the growth that we've had so far. But yeah, thank you for having me. I as you've said, Randy, it's despite what is happening and the chaos, it is still a time of opportunity. And I was mentioning the chat earlier that this will not be around forever. At some point, we will move beyond this crisis and we'll reflect in a year or 2 years, 3 years and say, wow, that was a crazy time, right? But for us, we've been privileged. I was mentioning to my team that 2 or 3 years ago we wouldn't have been prepared for a time like this, because I would not have had the experience. I would not have had such a large team to help me navigate certain things that need navigating. But
but Gordon, sorry to cut you, but remember, people don't know.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Tell them, man. So frame it for what has happened.
Yes,
frame what has happened.
Apologies. So
go ahead.
I run a company called EduFocal Limited. It's an online learning company. We actually used to focus on PEP. It used to be GSAT. For some of you in the room, it may have been Common Entrance, but it's now PEP, right? No, man, Randy is Common. No, Randy was the one before Common Entrance. No, Randy was the one before Common Entrance.
Yo, big up the people that did mental ability. Yeah, man. Big up Common Entrance.
Yeah. But yeah, so we help kids prepare for the PEP exams. We used to do CSEC. Funny story. We started with CSEC. We started with 100 questions, math and English at the CSEC level. March 15, 2012. We thought it was the greatest thing ever, but then people stopped using the platform and I thought we were doomed. And then one day I was in bed and I said to myself, you know what, I'm cold sweats, panicking because we spent so much money to start. I said to myself, let's try this GSAT thing and see how it works. And it was, the response to it was amazing. And to this day, that really has been our bread. But anyway, in January of 2020, we actually killed the CSEC side of the platform because we just didn't put a lot of resources behind it and started to kind of zoom in on where we were good at, which is, the primary level education, grades 4 to 6.
Really?
But, so we killed that. But
so
last year,
you actually pivoted. Wow.
Well, I wouldn't say it was a pivot, actually. It's just that we killed a product. It's just like, I guess you'd say.
It's not for you to say. You started out being focused on CXCs and you fully went into the small thing. That is what, that is the literal definition of a pivot for a startup.
So, all right. Pause 1 second. I'll say to you that. No.
So we can't do it, people.
No, and it's not a thing. Well, no, it's not that I have a problem with pivoting, right? But It wasn't a pivot because our offering didn't change, and we didn't start it with the intention of just doing GSAT. So we actually wanted to get into every exam type. In fact, there are times where we've tried getting into SATs. We also tried getting into some exams in Nigeria. But the platform was never made for just PEP. It's just that I lived in Jamaica, or I live in Jamaica, I understand the space, so we started out there. But yeah, it wasn't a pivot. It's just that it's like Grace offering aloe vera thing that they have, and it's not working out, and they decided to kill it. Not to say that Grace has done that, but just as an example. But anyway,
I just wanted to be clear that was Gordon speaking and not Randy or Danai.
But yeah, but we also do we do B2B. So we've been in the B2B space since August last year.
And that's business to business.
Business to business. Sorry. So we do create learning solutions for organizations. We count the transport.
I love the buzzwords.
Oh, it's just, I guess when it's your day-to-day saying everything about it. But we've been in the business-to-business space since August last year. We create learning solutions for organizations. So we create learning content, and we also create learning platforms for these organizations. So we count the Transport Authority as a client. We count the JCF as a client, and we have a couple other clients. But yeah, that's something we got into last year, and we're pretty happy about. So
I like that.
So that's EduFocal.
I like that, but right now we're focusing on the coronavirus, because this is a corona episode. So we're talking about
what's
the
happening in
effects
the
of what
business
has.
since corona.
So that has been pretty good for us. Right before schools closed, the Ministry of Education reached out to us, asked us, to make our service free of cost for students. We decided to jump on that, and in 14 days, we had more than 30,000 kids sign up to the EduFocal platform, which has been pretty good. And just in terms of more visibility through the Ministry of Education itself endorsing us, and that has been good. In terms of, I guess, more generally opportunities in the e-commerce space, when we launched in 2012, we thought that it was just a great idea to jump right into accepting credit cards on the platform, really not looking into the fact that not a lot of Jamaicans were using credit cards, right? Fast forward to 2020, and I think that has changed. We've seen companies like Quick Plate, who
big up Quick Plate.
Yeah, big up Monique Powell.
Yeah, man.
Really, really happy about the work that she's doing. But I do think there's a shift happening now in Jamaica in terms of people who have access to credit cards or Visa debit cards, right? I think that the real shift will come when NCB launches their Visa debit or MasterCard debit product. That will kind of open the gateway for a lot of companies to extend their offerings in terms of accepting e-commerce. But also customers or consumers will have access to the ability to pay for things online, and that's such an important shift, because when you have a next wave, when you have that next pandemic that hits us, I think Jamaica will be in a much different place. We'll be better prepared for it because more people have access, to the electronic means of paying for stuff. But yes, it's a great opportunity, and I think I saw an ad from NCB talking about e-commerce offering. You can get signed up on e-commerce really quickly, and I think that ad was directed at businesses, not necessarily consumers. So things are going in the right direction in that regard.
Yep. And I think even like our last episode where we had the CEO of Sprint Financial on, he was saying that his business has also really risen over the last few weeks, the last few months. I think. Danai, you remember what percentage he was talking about, Danai, or what he was saying?
No, not exactly.
Yeah, but I don't remember the percentage increase, but I think he said he's up to 6 mil a week now in terms of receivables, loans. Receivables, it's not a loan. Financing, yes, receivables.
Service.
That's correct. Because I've been paying attention to, on your Twitter, you have been just putting out the count of people signing up, day after day after day after day. And if I don't know how private this is, well, you put it out. So I guess
if it's on Twitter, it's not private. Yeah.
No, man. What I was about to ask, but it is based on that, so it isn't. I mean, what is that as a percentage of the entire cohort of PEP students again?
Okay, so on average around 39,000 students to the PEP exam annually. If you count grades 4 and 5, it's about 200 and something thousand. But right as it is right now, we have more than 20% of the total PEP cohort signed up in terms of grade 6, the grade 6 cohort. So we have a lot of them. But I mean, the real value for us is also the grades 4 and 5, who will have for a very long time, you know. So for the grade 4 students, we'll have them for 2 years. And for the grade 5 students, we'll have them for 1 year. We don't currently have any grade 7 content, so there's not much we can do with the grade 7 students, the grade 6 students that we have on the platform right now in terms of after they leave the EduFocal platform. But definitely a lot of value can be gleaned from the grades 4 and 5 students that we have on the platform. So obviously after all of this, it is our intention to retain them as customers on the EduFocal platform.
I mean, you're no fool either, so you know what's up. And you started out doing more than you're doing now. So even though you're right. By the way, it's important that I say this because you are correct. I agree with you. It wouldn't have been a pivot then because you kept your offering the same. You just
the offering is literally the same. Nothing has changed. It's just that the content has changed, and we do plan to add more content. So like we ultimately want to cover kindergarten all the way up to the end of high school, right? I mean, so very soon we may, for example, roll out offerings for grades 3, 2, and 1. If we can have a child on the platform from grade 1 all the way up to grade 6, then that's extremely valuable for us.
You might just be the new extra lesson.
We can't reveal those things right now. You want to reveal too much.
Well, God, I mean, I read that you've been doing that, so you've been keeping your nose to the wheels. It was important for me to show that to people that, in terms of a real business, in terms of what's happening, things change and they're sad and they're terrible, but out of all of that pressure is always a situation in which you can build a diamond.
I just wanted to also, acknowledge the fact, from March, we had so many corporate companies come on board to support us, because it was actually a conversation we were having internally with the team. Like, all right, guys, we have all of these users. Do we monetize them now, or do we kind of keep it free? And because for me, it didn't feel like the right thing to do. Like, we gave 14 days. The ministry wasn't going to write a check for us. So I said to myself, how can we keep these people on but still pay our bills? And that worked out for us because a couple of corporate companies came on board and supported us. And I mean, we're obviously very happy for that. The first call that I made was actually to Wisynco, and I mean, they said yes, and I was happy for that. And that just kind of gave me the confidence and momentum to call a couple of other companies. And they were very much in line with what we were saying and decided to come on board.
All right. I am with you there, Gordon, because you touch a next point. You never had to send anybody home. You actually hired in the middle of this.
Yeah, I'm hiring right now. We're definitely hiring because we're doing live classes too for students, and we want to touch 20,000. We want to engage 20,000 students weekly via our Zoom classes. So we call them EduFocal live classes. For
I'm sorry, you call them what?
We call it EduFocal Live, but we do it through Zoom. So on one class last week, we had over close to 1,000 people that tried to get into the class, which was pretty amazing. Wow. So yeah, definitely
that's huge.
So we're hiring moderators, we're hiring data entry clerks, we're hiring teachers. We're going through a lot of hiring right now. Obviously, a lot of people we want to retain after this, because we don't expect EduFocal to be the same after this, in the sense that we do expect some decline in some of our numbers. But what has been amazing to me is that our KPIs have not changed much. So for example, your typical time
performance indicators for the people who don't know. Yeah.
So
in other words, he's saying that he has kept the same goals throughout.
Yeah. So like, for example, the typical time that a child spends on the EduFocal platform is around 20 minutes. We had 6.9 million page views last month, and that didn't change. Like, so even at scale, our numbers have remained the same. The activity on the site has remained the same, which shows me that, even if we had 20 million people on the platform, the numbers would probably still kind of look the same.
Boy, I say it, empires are built during a crisis. Yeah, man. Out of the Great Depression came the huge Rockefeller empire and all of that. I hope I never got that wrong. Out of all sorts of bad things, if it's not at a macro level, if it's not a country level, it's sometimes it can be a family. I mean, my own family. I didn't know when the Black Plague happened in 1918, it changed a lot of what happened. It changed a lot of Jamaica.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, I'm pretty sure I got that wrong. The Black Plague was in 1980.
It was
Spanish?
It was like
Spanish,
18,
all right?
18.
It's
The
been a
Black
while.
Plague was what, like 18,
Right?
18 or something like that. Yeah.
I'm not that old.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, shut up. It's a huge deal, and it changed a lot of things, but it makes a lot of things better. How we have started. I never washed my hands so much in my life. I swear to you, brother.
Yeah. Randy, I'd say to you that the hardest thing in all of this for me is actually just the mental fortitude that is required in, just sitting in the office all day and focusing on growing the company despite everything else happening around it that is bad. You know what I mean? I have friends who have family members who are sick because of Corona. I have friends who know people who have died. My team is on the verge of burnout. So it's just managing all of that that's the hardest part for me. It's not the lack of opportunity, So
I get you.
It's been really challenging in that regard, I'd say, if I'm being honest.
I can understand. Yeah, balancing the personal and
Yeah.
doing so, because growing a company is hard in the best of times.
Yeah, man. Like there's one team member right now I haven't heard from him in a week. Like he just
Wow.
I mean, I know he's good enough, but he's just been MIA, and I know that he's tired, so I just kind of left him alone because it's just been a lot, right? But I mean, he's been working hard and stuff, and yeah, a lot of the team members, even for me this weekend, I just took a break, and I have a lot of work to do, but I decided to take a break because it's rough.
Take the breaks here, my lord.
Yeah.
I feel the same way a lot of times. Almost every Wednesday when I have to get this episode out, and there's some for the last, it's like the last couple of Wednesdays. You're laughing, don't I?
Yeah, I see somebody in the comments saying, wish my boss would leave me alone. I'm a nice boss still. At least I hope I'm a nice boss.
Well, I'm sure I'll bring on one of your staff to tell me otherwise.
Yeah, man, you can
or
talk to
see
them.
if it's true. But you made a great point about the personal and how it impacts, and the fact that you're even hiring now. You should probably shout that out to people. Is there like a link for them?
Yeah, so it's so crazy. I made a tweet about 2.5 weeks ago, and in less than a week 2,000 people applied. I mean, that was ridiculous. Wow. I didn't expect the tweet to just, like, people were sending me messages on Instagram. People who I knew were reaching out to me privately, so it's been crazy. So I mean, we have way more resumes than we need right now, but the email address is remotework@edufocal.com. So you can send the resumes there. But Randy, I just also wanted to just back up on one of the points that you were talking about regarding stocks too.
Yeah, man, of course.
It's so crazy that, again, in the midst of all of this, it's easy to say, yeah, man, buy this stock because it must go up, and in a very instinctive way, it's going to go back up, but to drop some money on a stock right now in the chaos, in all of the chaos that's happening, it's hard. I would say it requires serious mental fortitude.
But bro, haven't you heard? You need to be
greedy
when others are fearful.
Absolutely. So it's easy to talk, it's easy to talk.
Man, it's easy for someone.
But to actually do it, especially when you're putting up your own money, I mean, that's another story, right?
Can you imagine?
I know good amount of people saying that I'm not doing it.
Yeah, it's another story.
Yeah, can you imagine the people who threw like all $1 million into NCB when it was at 170 because they never think it would ever go 170, and then it go 140?
Yeah.
Red dot.
Yeah, it's tough.
I know people, Warren Buffett in that moment,
I know people who are down more than 50-60% right now, and I mean, that's crazy. Not me. I mean, I'm definitely not down 50, 60 or 50 or 60%, but it's
could be down heavy.
Yeah, no, I'm not down.
Wow, I like that kind of thought. That's strong.
No, man, I'm not down at all.
But yeah, I don't know if I interrupted your point if you're saying something else, because you're saying it's not easy to do.
No, I'm just saying, I mean, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether it's you trying, I mean, even for people who are trying to start their own ventures now, I mean, it's hard. Like, again, you see some stuff on social media where people are saying, for example, if you're home right now and you're not being productive, then, you're wasting time. But again, it's very easy to talk, you don't know what is happening in people's lives. You don't know, just the things that they have. So I guess I emphasize there. Not everybody will be, attacking things in the same way, right now.
And I agree with you 100%. And that's part of why I'm doing this, because I want people to hear the different views. I want them hear like a realistic view. I want them hear, I don't want us hide from the bad either. Because the worst thing is when you hide from the bad, but it's out there, but the person still have to face it. Like when, I used to hate Gordon, you remember this. I don't believe if you remember, you and I experienced this together. The teacher in class or the lecturer in class, and then we have 3 questions and there is maths, right? I'm sorry, it's math. And they do the first one as an example, I help you with the second one as an example, and take you to the third one on your own, and it's graded. The third one is nothing like the first 2.
Yeah, but, definitely.
Right?
I know that well.
It have a little twist in there, right?
Yeah.
And like, I always wonder, like, yo, sir, if you knew this part was coming, why didn't you say something about it or whatever? Or it's funny enough how now I know that it's because that, well, a good instructor, a good teacher wants you to be able to get it to yourself, so you can always get it, right? You can always find it out on your own. But in the moment, brother, somebody have to provide a guiding light, at least to say, yo, XYZ, this look good. You need to be thinking this way. You know, a little bit more than don't panic. Although don't panic is good, and not knocking don't panic. Don't panic helps, right? And the Buffett quotes also help. But I think it's time for us. I think the market has advanced past that level. I think it's time for us to start being a little bit more real with what we say and what we do. And I have no doubt that pretty soon that will come.
Randy,
but you say, go ahead.
I want you to touch on one last e-commerce point. Real story.
Please.
When we had just launched, we partnered with Transaction ePins. They're now known as Go. It's owned by the Facey Group, right? Mm-hmm. So we're actually
which is owned by the same set of people who own.
Yeah, man.
Then I hold that go.
Facey is owned by who again?
Separate.
No, it's not separate. Mustn't. So the proper
the same set of people that own.
The same set of people that own separate.
Yeah, the same people who own separate. Yeah, man. So a couple of years ago, 2012, when we launched, we're still on all of those machines that produce phone credit, right? And my idea was, we know that a lot of people in Jamaica didn't have credit cards, so we wanted to find an alternative way for them to pay. So that you just go to any vendor, any gas station or wherever, you just ask for EduFocal. And they'd print the voucher, and you go to edufocal.com and you put in the voucher code and you'd be good to go. In my head, that's how it would work, right? But then you actually get into the meat of the matter and you realize that I was standing in a room with the sales reps from the company, and like, bro, you'll have to pay us to market that you're on the machines. And I'm like, and there were like 30,000 or 40,000 machines across the island, right? So I'm looking at them and I'm like, well, I don't have any money to pay you to market it, so I guess they'll just sit on the machines and nobody will know. We spent months trying to implement that, and it was implemented. And then I said to myself, all right, what am I going to do now? And I decided to start distributing scratch off cards to schools, because obviously our market was, schools, children specifically. But then it actually wasn't scratch off at the time, and I was distributing it to the schools with the code visible. Obviously a very dumb idea. And then I found a vendor in the States who could produce the scratch-off cards for us. And then we started distributing it again. And it would sit in the principal's office because, you'd hand it to him or her and then like, oh, yeah, it's in the office. They're not doing anything with it. So 0 sales. And I just kept on iterating from there. And I'm saying all that to say that, so we eventually figured that out, right? Long story short, we figured that out. But I said that to say that I was doing all of that just because credit card penetration in Jamaica was so low, because if credit card penetration was high, then all people need to do is just go to edufocal.com, sign up, pay with your credit card, and that's the end of the story. And of course, that's what obtains in developed countries like, the USA and Canada. But we're now getting to a point in Jamaica where all of that is changing. More people have access to, to credit cards and Visa debit cards specifically. And our sales online have reflected that, and I'm very happy about that because it means how we sell is changing, right? It means if we need to convert all of these people, all of these 30, 40,000 people that are currently on edufocal now, chances are a bunch of them have credit cards. It means that our sales process is much simpler. So, just to kind of give some perspective in terms of how things have changed and are changing. And it makes my life and it makes everybody's life easier. It makes Money Powell's life from Quick Plate easier. It is really a big transformation. And if you don't have your finger on the pulse, it's easy to miss that's happening.
That's true. It makes my life easier.
There you go. There you go. Exactly.
Literally only payable by credit card on
exactly. Exactly. Right. So, there are a bunch of things I won't touch on this call in terms of how we can analyze that data and know who has a credit card and who may not have a credit card. But definitely creates a huge opportunity for us in terms of how we approach the market.
Well, I think Well, I suspect we'll have you back to talk because that's a great topic, but I don't want to go too long. So thank you very much, God. So you're showing
no
a good
problem.
side of things. So
Thank
you're
you for having
showing,
me.
no problem. Very, very thankful to have you here. You're showing that in terms of business, in terms of small scale here in air quotes, because as a man say, in thing medium now. But if in terms of business
Still
and
small.
growth, it's still small. So it's still growing where it is now. And I think I can say you're on the edge of startups still. In terms of local startups where everything take longer, you're definitely still there.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah, but I see people in the chat asking you if you don't want some public money.
You know, I'm really averse to this IPO thing. You know, we'll see how it goes, but trying to keep it private for now.
Make your money, sir. Make your money.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm trying to make
some money.
trying to make the offering as valuable, you know, to the public investors. I wouldn't want to be dragged on Twitter telling, you know, people cussing me about all them investment now work out in the idea for.
Oh Lord.
That wouldn't be nice.
I didn't want you to say that. You know,
that wouldn't be nice at all.
No, but it's a good point because people do say that, and I think that's a matter of
yes.
I think that's a matter of low financial literacy. I don't mean that bad way, but Gordon, you're right. It's a rough thing for people to see and a rough thing to go through, but it is
because
traversable.
A lot of the CEOs that get criticized, including CEOs of large companies, are on Twitter tweeting around. A lot of them are just there, but they don't tweet. They have some anonymous account, but they see these tweets and, you know, obviously, again, nobody wants, you know, to get a trashing about their company online. You know, that's not. Yeah, but it happens and it is what it is, and people have a right to do that, especially if you're a shareholder.
And they should, because it's exactly. If you're a shareholder, it's your company. If it's a public company, public means public. You're open to
You're open to scrutiny. Yeah.
And I think it's good for us to know what bad, good, and ugly is. Somebody saying something about your share price or your prospects now doesn't mean that your company isn't great. We need to get past that.
Exactly.
But thank you again, Gordon, for that
Thank
one.
you for having me.
Take
care, everybody. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man, no problem. So that was Gordon. Danai, what do you think? We've had two people on so far. We should probably take one of those questions. I'm going to take one of these questions from Matthew Preston. What innovations are you hoping Jamaica?
You did the first question, I did the second.
Well, to be fair, this isn't really the first because Matthew asks, what innovations are you hoping Jamaican businesses will make during or after COVID? And I think Gordon touched on one, is that I think we'll lean more on e-commerce. I saw that thing that went out from NCB speaking about their e-commerce platform. Yeah.
And look at what happened with Innovate 10X. The company has been around for a bit. And with the guy from JMB, let me call his name proper. He's not just the guy. Sheldon Poe.
Yes. P-O-W-E. Sheldon Poe. Yes.
He's mentioned his, let me read this properly. Jamaica Property Exchange Network. So I was laughing at it because I was thinking about when Julian was speaking. It's an online space for buying and selling property. So you want to sell a property, you can post property there, and anybody who in the public can just go on the site and they can view it there. So I was laughing. Julian was saying people come to your house now, and you're saying you don't want people in your house. This is a good alternative. You can buy or sell your house through this.
Yeah, I think.
And in a time when people be looking to sell houses, you might get somebody who's there, and they want to extend the platform to more than just property sales. So it's a good look. I'll post the Gleaner article speaking about it in the show notes. I can drop it in the chat too.
Yes, sir, I will. If it's the right one, is the app called Keys? Keez?
Not that I know.
I think so. I know of an app called Keys, and I don't know if it has something to do with Innovate 10X. So.
They call it the Japan. Yeah, JAPEN. Jamaica Property Exchange Network with other prospective investors and prospective home buyers to apply and be approved for a mortgage without walking through the doors of a financial institution.
All right. Well, send me that link and I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so you're saying that's one benefit that you see coming out of it. So people are getting more innovative, essentially.
People are going more online. You mentioned in the episode with Gordon and Jermaine about how Jamaica is 10 years back. Every time
Oh, like if you want to look at where we are now.
Yeah, man. Business processes that exist abroad, and everyone then in Jamaica just finds out about it 10 years after the fact, and starts implementing it as a thing to do. So we're now looking, well, especially during the COVID, but before other companies are looking to, the online the technological transformation, NCB 2.0, other companies are doing all of that type of thing. COVID, it's kind of forcing companies because we need to beat the market. If we have we don't have any customers walking in anymore. We can't talk to our customers. We can't sell them anything when them at them house lock up. So if we find a way to reach them. So they're trying to push this online thing now, and even their staff. We have everybody talking about the working at home. They're forcing the work at home thing right now, where the government was saying they need to have people working from home, non-essential staff. A lot of companies implemented that, private sector and public sector. Even me, I'm working from home now. Everybody talking about it on Twitter. So a lot of people are working from home and working through this Zoom. You can see where Zoom is affected. You can see the share price online, how much it gone up since this whole COVID thing. So a lot of companies really stepping up into the new world, into the 21st century.
Yeah. And you're right.
20 years after the fact?
Yeah. 10 or more, but we don't get there till we get there. When we get there, we do it good, right? On the flip side, we do have to learn for some of those things. It's so funny how Corona come and everybody forgets a certain house leak all our information. That's something that's going to have to be handled in the future. But we'll talk about that on a.
I keep seeing people speak about. I see people every now and then. Somebody mentions how much it has actually affected. How it's not something happened to them and they're not affected by that leak. So it's crazy to me that this type of society Jamaica is they don't really talk about these things. They're very hush and they don't look into something that goes bad for them. When I come to it, just run with it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
David is mentioning something.
I think he just didn't hear you just now because you kind of zoomed out. Your sound went back for a second. Yeah, you could just repeat it though for him. Yeah, people are personally affected, and they have been to every now and then I see somebody come out of the blue and mention it online, say, "Oh, I've just been affected by my information being leaked by X company." I keep seeing that bounce out of the network every now and then. I haven't heard where anybody is actually pushing to get something from it, or where get some affected and need something about compensation, something like that. I haven't seen anybody push that. I think this type of society Jamaica is the kind of show something bad happen and a company do it, cost the company and then shut up and make it slide. Yeah, and we have a culture of silence in Jamaica that is not serving us at all.
The fact that we even laugh at America. Oh, American too for everything. If any of this stuff happened to us, we'll really admit that, boy, that thing happens, a really bad thing. But we never seem to understand how they feel, how Americans would feel about suing. Nobody thinks about it. Nobody does anything about it. They just, the fact that that's a joke to them, that, boy, America sue because them eat some fast food and something go wrong with them. Why they really sue for that? If somebody's affected.
Yeah, and you should sue. It is the way to do it. But we're changing slowly but surely. I hope we get there a little quicker. As you said, David, let me bring in David. David, you can unmute and talk to the people because I see you asking about some things. And I know the last time we did this, you spoke. So I want you to make a talk again. Come in, David. People big up JC Night 2.
JC Night 2.
JC Night 2.
So David, who's the first JC Night?
I went to was JC Night. JC is a high school I went to, and that chess piece in Night is where I get the other part of my handle from.
Who's the first?
And the 2?
You're JC Night 2.
I don't know who was the first, but I got the 2.
All right. Well, JC Night 2. Big up. Welcome to the podcast again. Tell the people who you are.
Well, for those of you who know me already, I was featured last year by several entities, Smile Jamaica, Observer, Gleaner, about the whole investing, earning season in August as well, about paying tuition, about hauling stocks, and people were surprised that I'm a science student. Other day I was in a session where lawyers were talking about setting up a company, and they were like, wait, Are you a law student? No. In an economics class? Are you an econ student? No. And that's just how I am. I will take the time to learn something because application does not extend only in one field. That's just how I see things.
You connect the dots wherever they are.
You have to connect the dots.
Yeah, man,
That
that's a
is where
great
we
skill to
miss
David,
opportunities.
there's something I wanted, but in the introduction, you need to say the founder of Finance with the JA, you know. You need to talk that one.
Oh,
That
Finance
is-
Twitter JA for sure.
Yeah, that is
Hashtag
100%
Finance
true.
Twitter JA.
That's
I have some more
100%
threads
true.
to come out.
Yeah,
It's
so
not
David,
easy.
sorry to cut you, David. But I want people to understand what you're doing. So David is younger. He started out by himself. He taught himself how to invest, and he's been doing, like you say, not into econ and not into math. And he also is the person who started Finance Twitter JA. He's the first person to use the hashtag. He's the person who contributes so much to it. And recently he's been doing this thing where he just breaks down companies and give analysis. But David, not just that. That part is easy, and we'll always come back to that. But I want you to talk about this on the Corona episode.
Coronavirus!
I want you to talk about just what's been happening and how you see the market, meaning the drop that has happened since I don't know when it's the market dropped.
March 10.
March 10. That's what you
That
moved
was that was the first case, confirmed
Of what?
case of corona in Jamaica.
Oh yeah, man, but we're talking about the stock market here.
Well, Chan Jamaica coming into corona time, yeah.
So tell me what's happened since?
$500 million was lost within the first 2-3 weeks
Ooh.
in market capitalization.
And we don't gone over. How much billion we gone so far?
I don't remember the exact amount, but the index has fell from a high of about 514,000 around last December to around 360,000 now.
Say that again. 514,000.
In JSE, on the JSE index to around 365,000 points now. So that alone gives an indirect indication, indirect.
Yeah, so people, what he means there is the index. You don't know what the index is. I mean, go and listen to our old episode. Go ahead. This is the beginner episode. Go ahead and tell them what the index is.
So to basically break it down, an index basically tracks a particular list of stocks or securities in exchange, basically. So the JSE Financial Index tracks financial companies. Manufacturing and distribution tracks those particular companies. The JSE Index in general tracks a particular cohort of stocks. And it's the junior market, but a particular cohort of main market stocks, and the performance of the index gives an indirect indication as to the performance of the overall market.
Okay. Tell me how you're feeling now about the market. Looking at the market overall as an amateur investor. David, by the way, is not a licensed financial advisor, but he is the first person to be on our show. He was on our very first episode. So thank you for that, David. But yeah, how do you feel about it now?
There are opportunities in the market right now, but some companies that are being bought based on the prices. I don't see that value for being paid for them right now. So early in the week, so like 138 student living went with trade as high as $9 on Friday, and I found that odd considering that when you consider 138 right now, I go to UE, so I know the situation. UE right now says up to March 31, whatever you paid up, you're good. So if you're a finalizing student in the final year, you will refund your remaining amount to you. And they said, like, if you're a student who still has time to go to UE, they're credit to the future. So right now, 138 source of income, their residents can't come onto UE because of the corona situation and the curfew. And students have gone back home. So even though UE itself will cover the bill, here's a problem. That can be a receivable, and a receivable is necessarily cash. That is a payment that should go down later in the future. So when you see one trading for $9, I don't remember the book value right now, but to pay that kind of premium for the stock, I don't see it being worth it right now in the current present term.
So you're saying that you personally don't really
you have a problem with them getting the money later?
No, I don't problem getting the money later. But in the current term, not knowing when the thing is, US says right now, until Corona settles down, meaning borders can open back up, students can actually come to school and everything, that really and truly campus lockdown. And UE said that they're in an orange zone right now, and they can go to a red zone at almost any time, meaning that nobody can be on campus. Okay. So the revenue it will be there, but when will it be realized? Because UE says right now they're going to be a financial constraint with the student population basically being trapped.
So yeah, so the simple version is that UE is UE kind of lockdown, and 138 make and 138 makes its money from housing UE's students. No, then you said that UE owe them, right? And we know that because when they were having an IPO, they stated that they have an agreement, a concession agreement with the UE, which is where they make their money, yes. Which states that they make their money. Go ahead.
Yeah, if UE, so if there's nobody, if the occupancy for the housing is less than 90% of available, available. So they have a dorm and 90 less than if it's less than 90% full, then they get paid the difference. So if it's 40% full, then you give them the next 50% of the money that they would have gotten if they had 50% of people in there. Get me? That makes sense?
It makes sense to me. Say that over, yeah. If I'm supposed to get $100 and I only get $90, if I'm supposed to get $100 and I only get $80, you will have to make me up to at least 90.
Yeah.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Cool. However, sorry, go ahead, David.
So basically the problem right now is that UE for one doesn't know when they're going to open back up, and UE says if they go to a red zone, nobody can be there. So even though one third might get their income, it's going to book their receivable. And right now, UE said that they're going to be in a financial constraint and we need to call on to the government to support operations for the going future.
But the governments do support operations generally, I think.
No, they say operations, but they're talking about to generally just draw down on the government right now because UE itself was moving away from regional funding. They're trying to become more independent in a way because the government's saying they're going to cut down on funding going forward.
Well, the governments have had to that, but UE has been heavily funded by Caribbean governments. It was a big deal, I think, last year or the year before when the government of Jamaica didn't pay. You have
a big receivable balance from governments.
Yes, but I think we shouldn't get distracted.
We're getting distracted from the actual point of
Yeah, we're getting distracted from the actual point of 138. Exactly, Danai. Let me just bring it right back on stream because there's a point I haven't heard anybody talk about, right? Now, we know that there was there was a court case. We know that they had a disagreement, them being 138 student living versus
UE.
They won?
138 didn't win, I believe. They made a provision.
Yeah, they made a provision.
A provision was made from they went to court, but what was the end result?
End result is what we were saying obtains, right? So to me, it sounds like a win.
Meaning 138 won.
138 won. Yeah.
So the decision was upheld.
Now gotten the money. Yeah.
Perfect. So we're agreed that 138 won and the decision was upheld. Now, having said that, I would say.
Hey there, cool cats and kittens. Hi guys, Randy from the future here. Just listening to this while editing it and wanted you guys to get some clarity because I think we weren't very clear just now. One, there was a court case that UE had with a company called Prime Development, but that was finished from 2018, 2019, I think. And 138 Student Living did lose that court case. However, what we are referring to here is something else, which is not actually a court case. So we're incorrect about that. It is just a concession agreement, legal wrangling, let us say, but not in actual court. So they sorted it out amongst themselves and the lawyers. That's UE and 138 Student Living. And 138 Student Living got paid some money as a result of that. There's a link in the show notes to an article speaking about it if you're interested. I just wanted to clear it up because I realized that this was a little hard to hear. So back to the episode.
I would say, have we actually checked to see if the decision has not been amended in any way? Have they not spoken about some amendment? And are there any clauses that allow you to not have to pay the concession agreement? That's why I haven't heard anybody talk about. Everybody just say, "Oh, but what about the concession agreement?"
Somebody mentioned it over in the chat way at the very beginning. Sean, he asked, "Is there?" Let me find the question.
Force majeure.
Sean, post question again, Sean.
Yeah, the force majeure. Are you saying that right?
Yeah.
Force majeure?
Yeah.
I don't think it's force majeure, but I am not a lawyer at all.
We did not do French.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he is asking if there's any of that word that would allow you to not pay them. How can we validate that? Mm-hmm.
That perfect question, Danai. So how can we validate that? I believe that the idea behind validating it is one, you call 138 SL and you ask to see the terms of the agreement, which it might be your right to as a shareholder.
As a shareholder, you might be able to see that.
You check on Google just to see if there's anything mentioned in the articles around it or around the court case. These are the things that you do as research, right? So a lot of times people ask, "Oh, you know all them something here? How you keep all them things in your mind?" I don't know. I literally do exactly what you hear me saying right now. The same questions you hear Danai asking is the same things that happened to me. I will look at it as if we're looking at it brand new. I will go, okay, is there any way that you cannot pay this? You know, like you have insurance on your house, but if there's an act of God clause, a force majeure clause, then you get to, the insurance gets out of paying it to you or paying the full amount or whatever. So you need to know if that is going to happen, because if that happens, then definitely UE has gotten off the hook for it, and then that would mean that you know,
they don't give all money there. They just probably
exactly,
don't pay
there's
them
a hit there.
time.
Exactly. But then people don't necessarily follow up to the this part, right? They just hear it and they say, "Boy, it sounds like they must have something bad. Someone just has said." People that all the time, because David, you did start off sounding very strong. You're saying like, "Oh, you don't know about the book value if them can meet up to it." I believe 138 student living. I'm going off Danai's company sheet here. Let me say that again, because Danai's company sheet. Well, he does work there. Mayberry.
Which company?
Mayberry Investments Limited provides their price to book and their PE ratios, but their PB ratios are also on it, and they have them at a PB ratio of 54%. So currently at $7.49 per share, that represents them being a little over half of their book value. So they're under what you'd expect them to be, meaning they're not even at book value yet, David. So why do you think that that would happen? Now, granted, in terms of PE ratio, which is price to earnings ratio, which I'm not going to go too deep into that one, guys, you can do some research. But in terms of PE ratio at $7.49, that's a PE ratio of 12.4 times. And we know lower tends to be better, higher tends to be worse. But we see Mayberry projecting them to have a PE of 40.6 times in a year at their 12-month mark, which says to me that Mayberry's, well, that is if I agree with Mayberry's projections, right? And I don't always, because they get it wrong, just like so many other houses. But at least big up Mayberry for at least putting their projections publicly, because not many people do that. So that in itself is its own bravery. So they're expecting the same thing. It seems Mayberry is expecting them to actually fold up, meaning get a hit this year, because they're expecting them to do worse on a profit basis. So that would match with what you're saying just now, wouldn't it, David?
Yeah, basically. So not necessarily that I'm saying that 138 is a terrible company or doesn't have any value or whatever, but I'm saying that in the current timeline, basically, to get to pay for that premium right there, because based on what you're saying about the relation to the PB with the company's current price and everything, I don't see paying that premium to be worth it in that regard. I'm not saying getting 138 right now is a bad thing, but where you're going to get it. So a premium
to what exactly?
A premium to what? Yeah, because they're way below book value.
A premium suggests that you're paying more than a set worth. So what is the premium you're paying? Why are you saying it's a premium? What decision would make you say, okay, this is worth more than what it is?
I need to look back.
The terms of the the proceeding or whatever happened in court. You know the terms. Will they be due the money? Can you say we can't pay for this period and won't be paying it for this period? So the premium assumes you're basically saying to me that you think it's worth more than whatever it's worth less than whatever it's being paid for, not being paid for it. No.
That part basically.
Well,
I actually have to check and see what happened. See if I can validate what Sean was asking before I make my decision on that.
I check in the prospectus right now, and I checked the force majeure, and there isn't much detail going further into that context.
They might word it differently.
And you might not be seeing the full contract itself, so let's not assume.
Yeah, that's
that. Yeah, but you see, those are the things that you need to check before you make the assumption.
Might show something, might have something about it because of it's based on what happened last year, so that might tell you some things.
Yeah, so
it'll be good to check that one.
Yeah, so that's just an idea of how we go about actually looking at companies and what to look at. But I did promise that this should be for the beginners, and we haven't really done much. So thank you very much for that, David. And maybe we'll bring in Alka later on and something else. Yeah, but then
let's point from that is.
Sorry guys that you're hearing the sound screw up so much. It's not our fault this time. I'm pretty sure is one of the ISPs, one of those companies that's causing it. I'm pretty sure one of them send that chicken also that I keep hearing. But barring that, I think Danai, you had a point just now.
Oh yeah, a good point to take away from that with the research you do is you validate. You have to ask yourself, is something I'm saying wrong? A quote me and they were discussing recently from what's that movie? Big Short. It's possible I'm wrong, I just don't know how. So you might feel right, you might feel right, you might feel right, but you have to realize like there might be some information you're missing, so you have to explore to validate as much as possible if I'm right about whatever I'm saying right now or whatever I feel right about the company. If you're right, then you're good. If you're wrong, then make some changes. Always validate.
Yeah, and then when you're absolutely sure, wait. Like got question yourself, you know. The answer isn't to sound good. The answer is to be accurate. That's the point.
Yeah.
Right? Anybody can sound good, but there's not many people that can actually be accurate, and that's the accuracy that we want. But I promise people questions. So if I throw it out to the crowd now, unless you had something else you wanted to answer, Danai. I actually hadn't checked the slide in a bit.
Not specifically. I see something on the slide that I want to address. It's the second number 2 question. So whenever we get there.
No man, we're there. Go ahead.
Okay, we're there. Okay. I thought we were going to answer number 1. Okay, number 1 was already answered. So it's actually number 1 question now. So did Danai beat his salary in the market in March? Short answer, no. The good answer, yes. Gas everything. So if that whole thing, me beating my salary, was really a push. I think we discussed it here already. Just get a push so people can understand what is possible. Get people to start investing. You know, I still say start investing every now and then. But I haven't been speaking about it much this year because if I beat my salary last year, that means I made at least 100% more than what I got last year, right? What I got as my salary. So to make it this year, to beat it this year, it wouldn't be necessarily as hard as it would have been last year, right?
In other words, you have more to work with.
You have more to work with. So even if I take a hit now, so I'm down a small percentage now, right?
You still down?
The money I made last year, I have to check it to be honest. I'm just saying it what I last checked. I'm probably still down. But yeah, the money I made last, I'm not completely out of what I made last year. I'm good, I'm really good. Just down since the year start. And I think people misunderstand how I spoke about with the beat my salary every month. I think people thought I was going on. So every month I say, all right, the money I have now and see if I can make enough money this month to beat whatever I get from my job this month. You get me? So if I make 100,000 this month, I have to make 100,000 from the market this month. It wasn't really like that. I could have say I made by halfway through the year last year, I was already beating the salary. Well, I was beating the salary for the halfway month, but before half. So I'm mixing this up. So by half to June last year, right? End of June last year, I'd have made $500,000 from my job, right?
Mm-hmm. But from investing,
that I would have already made that 500,000 before June. So it wasn't that I was thinking, oh boy, every month I make this money. Because I have to beat by end of the year. I must make sure I beat anything out from my salary at X period of time. I must always beat that. If I'm explaining that well.
I get what you mean, but I don't know if other people. But all right, essentially, it's saying that, and we can just use a full year. At the end of the year, you made more from investing than you made from your salary.
Yeah.
So if you have a $1 million,
I tweeted that. What period I was tweeting it, I was more than I had already made more from investing for that year than my salary had given me.
Well, now here comes the hard question, because the market is so terribly down now. So did you cash all that out? Because it make no sense.
No, I didn't cash out. That to me that would make no sense. Cashing it all out because what I'm down or for no, there's still money to be made. That's still the opportunity to move into the opportunity to make the money.
All right. So big up Diane876 for asking that question. I hope it was answered for you. Boom, another question. Do you think the JC has experienced, and this is a real question, has experienced a full effect of COVID-19 as yet, or is the worst yet to come in terms of stock prices? What do you think, Danai?
I don't like the question.
Worst yet it's a good question.
In terms of stock prices. Are you looking at? Yes, agreed. But I think they're thinking about the market valuation. So to say worse yet to come, they're looking at the whole all market and then everything is down. Is everything really down since COVID? That's no. Something's there's an opportunity there. Worse yet to come. That's the right wording of that. Someone can the person's in the chat, right?
Yeah, I think they are. But people haven't seen it.
They didn't put a name to it. So has JC experienced the full effect of COVID-19? Short answer, no. There's more to come. Some companies will do well from it. Some companies will do worse from it. If you get what I'm saying there. Is the worst yet come? Worst is some fall. So some companies, yes, they will fall somewhere. And some companies I think will go up somewhere. So worst yet to come in terms of stock prices. It's not all about the in the market, guys. I know some people have made money since. Some people being randy.
So do I think the JC has experienced a full effect of COVID-19 yet? No, actually. I actually don't think JC has experienced any great effect of actual COVID as yet. I do think JC has experienced, I do think the market has experienced the heavy effect of the fear of COVID, and everybody looking at it on TV and so, yo, I must move. No, I don't want to. And the fear is what moves these markets. Having said that, though, do I think that the worst is yet to come? I don't think in that way. All right. But I know what people really want to hear. People want to hear whether or not, yo, I think it'll drop, you think it'll drop more. And the real thing what you want to hear when you press them is that they really want to hear about for them specific stock. And I must know exactly what them stock is, right? I can't always know whatever your stock is, guys. I'm sorry. But here's what I will say. Especially people who have been to grow would know this. You start with your goal. You know exactly what it is that your goal is. You look at the market, every time you look at the market, you need to be asking yourself, is what I'm in now still projected to give me my goal in the time that I have the goal? Or maybe give you it already. Maybe you went into Fontana hoping to maybe make a 50% and you went in at IPO. And now Fontana, even after it dropped, or even before it dropped, Fontana is at, when it was at $7, at $8, right? When you got $9, and you go, yeah, Fontana, $9, great. You make 900%. Fontana came to the market at what, $1 something? Or $1?
$1.88.
188. So you know, not 900%, but you make a good, you make a good money off it, off the Fontana there. The fact that you didn't have a goal is why you stayed in it, right? And you didn't have a clearly defined goal for yourself is why you stayed in it. And because you stayed in it, you know, started to pay attention, not to a goal, not to whether or not you got there, but to whether or not the stock price move or whether or not the people on Twitter are saying something nice about it or bad about it or what them saying on the news, right? So now you're listening to the news to hear whether or not your portfolio is good versus you actually taking an active management role in it. How does that link back to what's happening with COVID? I think that a lot of what has hit the market is fear, right? I see all the time. I see David said it, and I believe Chris from you in the chat. Unmute your mic and tell the people hi, if you are.
Yeah.
Hail, sir. How are you doing?
I'm living. I'm good.
That's good. Living is good these days. So one of the things that you have also said on Twitter, I've seen, Chris, is that you've also spoken about the fact that the market is down heavily as a result of Corona, as everybody sees, right?
Most, yes, but in the same sense, a fear of, because it's really trends that really set off things, in my opinion.
There we go, sir.
Yeah.
There we go. People forget that. It is actually trans Jamaica that started the big
It's
market.
funny. People forget that the thing was down from trans was out. So people were looking at people during the trans. People were heavily complaining, boy, trans leading the market. But as we hear about Corona, everybody forget that and start attributing the fall of the market to Corona before anybody was talking about Corona in any real light. So why would the market fall from Corona before you even know about Corona?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, but granted, don't get me wrong, and I'm not saying that when Corona, the cases, especially in Jamaica, happened,
there was
it
some
did
effect.
hit the market. Yeah. I think it was, I think I'm going to say it's David who said it earlier. I could be wrong. But that is March 3rd when the first case was announced. Whenever the first case was announced, you can see on the JSC, you can see the dip in share price on the JSC, like the pronounced dip, and it just went all the way down there, right? No, that's where people really are. The thing is that if you're paying attention, you know that what happened before that was that a lot of known, heavy, strong, want to make 300% from them in the past companies started to dip. Yeah, Fontana is a good one. Fontana dropped all the way down. Well, that dropped from before to about 6, but dropped all the way, got $3 something.
$3
Right, $3 a little bit. The big dog NCB, I'm not touching that because at 30% of the market, NCB movement is pretty much the indexes movement. And when NCB rises, you'll suddenly see it rise. There's a tweet of mine from years ago where I said, in a couple of years, everybody will be a star because NCB will fly in share price, and all of a sudden, everybody will know how to invest. Said that then, and look at where we are now. But funny enough, NCB has fallen, and all of a sudden, nobody not talking. I don't hear nobody telling people what to do if your money is in NCB. Nobody deliberate. Nobody has asked up front, but I will pretend somebody did an answer it. Like, what you do if you have the NCB shares and you see it drop? Can you imagine if you bought NCB at 150, a year ago? And you're so happy because I got all the way to 200. Sorry, to 200.
Hey, what's that, Randy? What's up?
Oh, God, I cleared my throat. Oh, Lord.
So, hey, what's up? We have a case here.
Oh, my gosh. Loading. Update coming. Loading. So, and by the way, it's not a cough, right? It's just late. That's all. It's. I don't have anything. I hope.
Doctor's prescribing rare man orange juice.
I will have some of that post haste. What was I saying before? I've lost the point again. You go make it Corona, take it out of my mind. Oh God, that's the problem with Corona. Memory loss.
You would know. Yeah.
NCB.
You're talking about NCB.
Yeah, I'm saying who's going to talk to the people who have seen them NCB drop on them on if they must sell it or they must come out. Guys, I can't tell you what to do. Right? I cannot tell you what to do, but here's what I can tell you. You buy a company based upon its fundamentals. And in my personal case, I buy companies based upon my expectation for them to grow in share price between where they are now and where you intend for them to go in the time that you need them to go. So if my goal is 6 months down the line, because 6 months from now, I want to buy myself a Bossy watch, then I need, if I am going to look at the market and say what stock can grow. Let's say I need 20% to buy the money, to get the money to buy the watch. What stock can grow 20% between now and 6 months? Boom, you know how to invest. There we go. It is that simple. Is it easy though? No. So, and no matter where the market is, you're always looking at the market where it is currently, and you're also looking at the market where it is currently, and you're always projecting it forward. We buy stocks for where they're going to be, not where they are now. So if you are looking at NCB at 145, 154, one whatever, and you're like, Jesus Christ, but it was at 200. When it was at 200, did you think it was overvalued? Truth is, you never really know. All right, you don't say that, but you never really know. And you think it overvalued, but the price dropped. You need to know what's happening. You need to know what's going on. You need to know why the price dropped. But you also need to know, well, no matter what, you need to know what moves stock prices. Now, if I were to go into that, this episode would last hours and hours and hours. I'm not doing that to you guys, right? We're gone almost 2 hours already. Yeah. But what I will say is that you need to have your financial education up. But if you're actually in that stock and you actually wondering if you must sell, NCB is at its strongest ever right now. And right now, when the rest of the world and the region, if we bring it regional, the region is going through a rough time, NCB, in terms of investment banking, is doing amazing things, and them actually have money. If you remember 10 years ago when we were on our face and Trinidad did have all that oil money, how them bossy on us and them come and then buy up all these things. I remember seeing articles talking about how our distributors and manufacturers can't actually get proper access to the Trinidadian market, and they never really care. They want to protect them thing. No, them on them face. Who just broke a loan for them the other day? The Trinidadian government? NCB. Boom. So does that mean that NCB is a terrible company? No. Does it mean that they're a great company? In my view, hell yes. But does their share price reflect that? No, their share price is way down right now, right? And I believe it's way down because it's most of the people in NCB have been there for a long, long time. So to them, even 150 is great because they're buying it since it's at $20, $30, $40. So to me, 150 is way up, right? So I have no issue selling 30 million worth right now and putting it into something else. But you have to, the person who don't have that 30 million worth, the regular man or woman with 100 grand or 50 grand wondering what to do, you have to look at what is actually in front of you. Eat the food that's on the plate in front of you. NCB at 154. Know what that means and understand that when it was at 200 and odd, it wasn't overvalued. So if that 154 now, it's a clear undervalued position. So do you want to sell right now or do you want to buy more so that when it go back up to 200, you have even more and you got it for cheap, right? That is the actual meaning behind Buffett's when people are fearful, blah, blah, blah. It means say, yo, look on it, ignore the noise, ignore the things on Twitter. Well, don't ignore them, but read it, read it and take it in stride. Don't be scared unduly, and don't let the news drive you too much into fear, right? NCB is still the bank that everybody have to care about in Jamaica. NCB is still huge. If you listen to this podcast here, it's talking about NCB from when, and this is not NCB ad, it's just give it some consideration. It's such a huge thing in Jamaica that it is not possible to ignore it, right? In the same way, remember that when you're investing in it, and remember your goal. Now, if your goal was to make a quick flip or you never really have a goal coming in, then I can't help you, right? Because I can't suddenly tell you what is going to go good or what is going to go bad. What I think is good might not be what you think is good, right? Because my timeline might not be like yours. I do things very quickly, and then sometimes I do things over a long time scale. Yeah, but I want you to think of that if you are in a stock. And I said NCB, but it's not just NCB. It's about any other stock. This is Neil Campbell.
Yeah, Campbell.
Hi, Neil.
Hey, Neil, what are you saying though? Talk, man.
Yeah, so I'm saying, what are your thoughts on Discovery?
Dolphin Cove is what you mean, Neil. Dolphin Cove, I think, is a great stock. Is a great company. Or they were a great company back in the day. I think they still are strong now, but I think that the dolphin business has seen a lot of contraction, which is why a big player has come in and bought them out. And now we see with the fact that they're in the tourism industry. I mean, it's pretty clear what's happening to everybody in the tourism industry right now, right? And I see them draw for what I call a Hail Mary recently, which is that somebody wants to build a hotel on the land that they occupy. And if they take that option, then there's a certain amount of money that comes to them and blah, blah, blah. They seem to be doing what could very well be a pivot. We bring that point back, but it could be a pivot. Yeah, essentially it was at the time I was saying that, yeah, I think these guys are great and they're going to blow up. But of course that was pre-COVID. So now COVID, the fact that their core business is in tourism I think there might be a little bit of a gap there, but if you want to get into the nitty-gritty, I would go and search and see when is their peak season. When do they have most people coming in? When did this COVID thing start for them? When did they say a fall off? Did they get to finish their Christmas season? Did they get into this year? Were the numbers good up until February? I'd like to find out what that is. I'd also like to find out how realistic the projection, the idea of them getting that hotel done, built on their land is, and see the terms behind that. That's what I'd use to determine whether or not it's good, Neil. And just on a straightforward PE basis, I think they have a low PE now. Even Mayberry thinks so. Mayberry have them at a PE of 14 times and expect them to go down even more, 13.8 times by the end of their year. So I think they expected good things. I don't know which quarter they're on now, which one of the quarters they're on now, but that's also important to know. But I like Dolphin Cove personally, and I would like Dolphin Cove. I personally, I'll give you guys a real talk. If I was buying Dolphin Cove and they're in tourism right now, tourism must report a hit in the next 6 months, right? So maybe I just wait and buy them in 6 months when the price dip, because in a year they'll be fine. People will be back swimming with those dolphins, or a hotel will be being built. And on that basis, I would then look deeper to see how much they're worth, what the actual hit to their business could be, how long it will take them to recover. But yeah, just without doing any of that yet, just doing a top of the line look, I would buy them in 6 months from now. Personally, I would buy them 6 months from now when I expect them to do a lot better. Or when I expect the price to be going all the way down, which means that people will be going, Jesus Christ, Dolphin Cove at the $9 then, no, there. Well, it's just $7 now, and it might drop all the way to what? $5, $4? If it dropped to $5 or $4, I'd buy. But even at $7, I'd buy it if my horizon, meaning the length of time I'm waiting to go, is longer than a year and a half or two, easily.
Hello.
Who is this?
Ryan Grant. Yeah.
What's up, Ryan? What you do?
I'm good. I'm a second year medical student at the University of West Indies.
Oh wow. Are you home now, or are you like in the?
Oh, definitely home. Definitely home.
So they haven't called you guys in yet?
No, well, I volunteered with the ministry, but it's for like call center type work, not where our faculty dean has promised that we're not going to be put in harm's way. So we're not going to be involved in any of that physical contact.
Okay, well, count your blessings, Ryan. I hope it doesn't get to any point where you need that. But yeah, you had a question, Ryan.
Do you think the crisis will accelerate Jamaica into self-sufficiency or anywhere close to that? Do you think
Ryan.
Too?
No, I can't answer that quick. It's 2020. No country is self-sufficient anymore. America isn't self-sufficient. China isn't self-sufficient. Jamaica not gonna be self-sufficient.
Yeah. Well, since you answered that one quick, then I can like ask another one.
Ran.
Ambition. Continue. Go ahead. That's ambition.
Right. Supreme Ventures took. Well, I'm assuming they took a hit by losing the bars. Came on Spark as well, along with that change in management, which I found surprising. How do you think they will fare?
Took a hit from the change in management?
Pardon me?
You think they took a hit from the change in management?
I wouldn't say they took a hit, but I guess change in management can come with its own challenges, adjustments, new ideas and stuff.
True. But out of the change is coming from people that are already in the company.
What I'm assuming you're speaking about the
chairman,
people.
The new CEOs are from within the company as well. So they already know the direction. Whatever changes are happening, they can already take it on.
Okay,
so
cool.
It might not be that bad from that perspective on that one, but there will be challenges from changing management. Took a hit from bars, agreed. Came on a Spark closing down, agreed. But then I want to turn this question into a question for you, because you're going to ask, how do we think they will fare? It's a kind of open question. So this is where it goes on to research for you specifically. You have to look at how Cayman and Spark affects them. What will be cutting revenue from Cayman and Spark before how it affect them? What kind of expenses that will be cutting down from the closure? What kind of expenses will go up from the closure? look at stuff like that. You look at the bars. How much money were they making from having whatever sales they're getting through bars? How much money were they getting from? How much money were they getting from Cayman? So you look at that, and then you analyze how was they fair. I don't have too much in my head, so I calculate about it with a 30% hit in profit. I calculate that. So you get me? So this part is heavy research. You have to look deep into the company to find what's happening in the company, what they do, how they make money. You can even look, maybe they're better off on some fronts too. You can look into that. Okay. That's my answer.
All right, thanks. I'll look into that.
Randy?
Yeah, man, it's a strong answer. There's much to add to that. I mean, it's literally just because you hear about something on the news, you don't mean that you should be fretting yourself about it very much. You see that Cayman has had a hit, exactly what Danai said. Just go and quantify what. That's all we talk when we say quantify. Find out what it is. Remember when it was a big deal because, oh my God, we Cinco lost. They're not going to be able to make any more plastic bags.
Yeah.
And it turned out that was worth what to them? $2 billion in revenue, not much profit. Or even if it was more profit, I mean, they replaced it very quickly.
Yeah.
In fact, there was not even a hit to us as shareholders. They replaced it before the hit came because they're proactive in terms of management.
Man. Yeah.
I can tell you this, big up man like Stupert on Twitter, because Stupert, I saw do a thread where he was pointing. He had the same question, well, a similar question asking about Cashpot. And he went and found out how much it was that Cashpot impacts SVL. Cashpot is a little more than half of their earnings. Their revenues, I think. I don't remember how much it was in terms of earnings. But yeah, that's the kind of research you need to do. So if you go and you check on, boy, you know, the last Caymanas, but it turns out that Caymanas is what? 20% of their earnings. Maybe it's not that big a hit. And then you think, okay, what else do they have that could make it up, right? So you look on a company, you think, how can SVL as a company grow during this COVID time? How can they keep things going during this COVID time? One, your assumption that people stop playing Cashpot, is that as true?
No, I'm not assuming that people stop.
No, I'm not saying that you are, but I'm saying that, well, think of that. If you're not assuming that people stop playing Cashpot, what are you assuming?
Well, I'm assuming that people would stop playing, well, not stop playing, but the ability to play the games would be decreased because most of the retail spaces that they would have had the opportunity to do that would have been compromised. So I was thinking about that.
You're thinking that they're what?
That most of the spaces that not Cashpot, but like the Lotto and those stuff, most of the spaces that they would
sell out of the same machine.
Pardon me?
Lotto, Cashpot, all of them sold out of the same machine.
Oh, well, I don't gamble, so I wouldn't know.
Yeah, but you have to know the companies. You have to know what they actually do for money.
Lotto still on TV? It's Lotto on TV, right? And the Cashpot draws, so somebody buying, right?
Brother, them could have tell you how much COVID case they are right now. If them tell you around the Cashpot time, that have a pause.
No, they run them at the same time. There was a press briefing, a COVID press briefing, and they split the screen. So one was on Cash, one was on the Lotto draw, one was on.
Yeah, bro got big when the bigger than the Cashpot.
I know how strict Cashpot and those things can be in terms of airing, because I know they do have a regional, they're involved in regional Lotto as well, and those things are time sensitive, meaning that they have to be done at a specific time. Otherwise,
precisely. Yeah. That's one thing that people always ask. How can that be? There must be a reason for it, right, guys?
Tight contract.
Yeah, the contract I think requires that it has to be done. It has to be visually seen by people. Because you remember, this is Jamaica, where we're coming from Japan, where people think that the man play something. So you have to show people the ball, and it actually blow, and it actually still going, and the draw was actually
all
done
the balls
properly.
have to be a certain weight as well.
Exactly, and at the end of the day, people still think it fake.
Yeah.
Even though it's obvious that it's fake, but it's fake. It's not fake. it is the trick is in front of you. You pick one number out of 36. That means there's only one number can win, and the other 36 must lose. Those odds are terrible, right? I think on a previous episode made a joke. He said, if there are 36 doors, if you go through one door out of these 36, you'll die. Would you go into that house and try and guess which door it is? You just avoid the whole thing, right? Well, Ryan, you sound like a leading, you know. But my point is that my point is that people who think that it's fake are so strong, have such a strong voice in Jamaica that SVL has to make it known, obviously, that it's not fake, which is why no matter what happened at the contracted times, it have to come on.
It has to come on, yeah.
Yeah. Having said all of that, though, thank you for your question. I hope you got an answer. The answer is that you do need to do some research, but don't worry about that. Find out what. Yeah, it's a great question. Find out what the impact of the thing that you care about is, so you find out what happens when it goes. So them stop selling this, but how much did they used to make from this?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for that, Ryan.
No problem. And there are other questions there too. So when you get there.
Yeah, of course. You know, let me just.
Kind of like 3%.
Yeah, man. I can tell that you have a word. I don't have a tab up that night. Just ask and answer one for me now while I try and get it back up.
Chris, from you is question. You see that, Randy?
I'm trying to get the tab up, so just go ahead and.
Why did Rita sell the 9 million Barita shares?
Rita Humphreys Lewin?
Yeah.
That's what he means?
If you can do one Rita, I think. First,
she
answer. Huh?
Yeah, she.
So you know that she sold the share?
Did the research, top shareholder list, only person with that mean. It's either her or no, it's her, because I said director.
Okay, cool. So I think it's her too.
So why did she sell? Why did she sell Chris from?
Why did she sell? Call her and ask. Call her and ask.
Wow.
Because I can't. So I hate this type of speculation. I can't. There might very well be something there, but if there's no connecting factor where you can get up and say, "Oh, yo, this," you can connect it to anything else externally. Suppose she just wants to sell and cash out and make her bag of money out for this because that's still more than what she sold the rest of the company for, right? So
again,
so do you have a connecting factor why you think it's something that we can guess at?
The last time she sold anything, it was, a big deal because that's how the whole cornerstone. But I don't have any. I haven't found anything.
Chris,
and I worked out.
It'd be good to know who she sold it. It'd be good to know who she sold it to.
Yeah,
I think there's more. I think there's more gain to be had in looking to see who bought instead of the fact that she sold. And if you think about why she sold, Chris, when you sell your stocks, why you sell them?
I'm on my Tanto journey, trying to make the gains.
All right, let me tell you something. That journey lasts for life. All right.
Yeah.
So how much did Rita Humphreys Lewin sell her initial amount to Barita for?
To Cornerstone.
Cornerstone, sorry.
Not sure.
Okay.
Couldn't remember.
Check that.
Yeah, you need to check things like that. If you're looking at it, you actually look at the company.
It's a good amount in the rank.
Yeah. Because if I remember correctly, it was 3 billion, yeah? A little over 3 billion.
Yeah.
At $9.20 per share, right? In 2018. I saw it, yeah, but I don't know how true it is, so I won't say it on the episode.
Is that insider info?
Oh, cool.
I don't know if that's insider info. That's not insider info. That's people worrying about it. I'll talk about
just,
insider and I finish. That's just info. Yeah. But yeah, just think about the share price, my lord. All right? She sold them it at a little over $9 per share, I think. And then they've had what's in sense splits and all of that. How much she sell it at were they?
The 9 mil around 50. No, at the time. Yeah, it's 55, 54
per share.
Yeah.
But I was working
before, and 2 years before she sold a share at $9 per share. Brother, the lady might just want bathe or floss. Everybody want floss, you know. Corona and not to break them off the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a personal sale. I tell you not to look too deep on that, because oftentimes you look too deep on that and you worry about that stuff when you lose the actual path, because you're paying so much attention to what you think is like, oh God, a terrible thing. Why would she sell? Why would she sell?
Start giving yourself a lot of reasons.
Yeah. People sell all the time.
But Jam T last year. Continue, Chris.
Oh, yeah, I went through, I had about, if you see it on Twitter, about 3 days of it.
I saw and I thought, Jesus Christ, this man really doing it to himself. Something could have done in 20 minutes.
And I'm checking the book value and all
there we go. But yo, simplicity first, my lord. Always remember that. Simplicity first. I have never seen a gain. I have never seen a gain on the Jamaica Stock Exchange that could not have been predicted and deduced by just using common sense and maybe PE ratios. Literally just those two things. But that's just me personally. Yeah, so you don't ever have to go too deep. I'm not knocking you. I rate how much research you do, and I like that. It's a good point out there for people to look at. But yeah, simplicity first, man. You don't ever have to be that deep.
Right direction. Put it in the right place.
Yeah, Occam's razor is right. Simple answers are usually the best. Thank you, Chris.
Hi, good night, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Janelle Worvin, as Randy said. I'm in the construction industry as a project manager. And my question, good night, everybody. Or morning.
Wow, morning. How are things with you in your industry right now? That's a good question. Construction, because that's something that kind of finishes what we're asking with Jillian earlier.
Well, I mostly work on commercial projects. So I don't have much say as it relates to real estate. From what I'm seeing though, real estate projects are slowing down along with hotel construction. But for the commercial projects that I work on, they're still going. So I'm still working from home, and on some days I'll go to site when necessary. But yeah, projects are still active. A few of my contractors, they've scaled back a bit, but thank God nobody has stopped working altogether.
Wow.
So they scaled back to maintain social distance, add some hand wash stations on site, adhere to the closing out times, etc. But the sites are so large that you can afford that to some extent. So we're still, going along.
Thank you for that.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Good perspective.
Yeah. So my question is, piggybacking on what Jillian spoke about earlier, where we're not in a housing bubble yet, but we're seeing where other areas within the construction industry may be slowing, but at the same time, commercial construction seems to be continuing. I was asking, what's your view as it relates to Carib Cement versus other companies that invest in real estate? If you could do that comparison, just give me your views. CCC dropped, but not significantly. Yeah.
Dana, you can take this one. I'll follow.
Hold on, I'm putting on earphones. So.
Okay, well, all right. I'll answer then. CCC. Well, before I answer, let me get the numbers to ensure, or you can tell me right off the top of your head. You know how much they've fallen by?
Right here. Hold on.
I stopped owning Carib Cement a little while back. I think they've had their run. Or is it Carib? No, sorry, I'm confusing them with I think Berger. The PE ratio.
The last traded at 43 something.
Yeah, with a PE ratio of 19.5 times. And Mayberry has them projected to go down to 18.95 times. I don't think construction is going to stop so quickly, and because we're running out of time, I'll touch this with my COVID point also. I actually don't think COVID is going. We could do an entire other episode on just my thoughts on just straight COVID, but I don't think that it's I don't think that it's going to last as long as people are thinking and terrible, right? Human beings, especially these days, our attention span is sharp. We were going crazy 14 days ago. That's 2 weeks ago, right? If you think we can stay locked up for 3 months, you're out of your mind. Financially, also, financial markets and business moves a quarter at a time. Yet the one entire quarter is not going to end, and this thing isn't sorted out somehow. That's not to say that it won't still exist or there won't still be issues around it, or America won't have like still a huge number, but I think that business will have to return to normal. And we have to remember something now. There are a lot of people in Jamaica who cannot do what many of us can do. Lots of us can't stay home and still get paycheck on the 25th. Lots of people in Jamaica live not even just paycheck to paycheck, but day to day, if not week to week. Meaning them literally have to make the money today to be able to get back their money tomorrow, or they make the money today in order to buy dinner this evening and send the kids to school tomorrow and then go work again to get it right. I mean, there are literally a lot of people that live like that in Jamaica, and that's at the lowest level. At the top level, people that have businesses, the business can't stay locked for 3 months. You say, boy, we're sending employees home. They don't want to send employees home. Employees were there for a reason.
They do not.
Yeah, they don't want to send people home. So they definitely, just the mere fact that we needed to push says to me that I think by the end of April, you'll hear it flying. Expect to hear this on the US news. Markets rose in anticipation of a faster than expected recovery from the coronavirus. Just expect to hear that phrase in the news in a couple of months, and people are going to be making crazy money in the US markets, as they are making it now. But carrying it home to your Carib Cement point, Carib Cement makes money from straight up cement. They have export sales and they have local sales. And you yourself said it. Construction at the major level, which is the level that you work at, commercial construction, has slowed down, but it can't really stop, right? If I make a big move to create a big shopping mall or a big hotel or something, and we're halfway through it, we can't stop. That's death to stop. We have to keep going. We have to keep buying the things.
Clients want a return on their investment. I mean, they understand the situation, but with such massive investments.
Exactly.
Like
exactly.
Yeah, you know, they still want a return. They're not concerned about the construction industry. They want that end product so that they can start, you know, getting their investment.
That's
so
exactly
it's like a rock and a hard place, because while they understand COVID, they're still saying, okay, well, you know, what's happening? Is construction going to stop?
Money on this side.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to get a good idea of people, extremes are often very similar, believe it or not. If you want to know how, I believe, this is my personal belief, you want to know how the top end of society might see COVID on a macro level, look at how the bottom end of society is treating COVID on a macro level. There's that video about the guy who's saying that, boy, no matter if him get it or not. I don't mean the guy in the road who was being an idiot. I mean a guy who lives on the road, saying that it no matter if him get it or not, because, yo, look how I'm living. Things kind of bad already, right? And at the top end, yeah, it kind of bad if people get it. I don't want people to get hurt. I don't want people to get it. But the reality is things still have to go. I can't shut my multi-billion-dollar business down because of this thing, all right? Because if I shut this business down, right, 200 people are going to have to go home. I've seen Mobe call center people are getting sent home. That's hundreds of people. We can't afford that. So it must fix up. What I'm happy about
for Jamaica.
Exactly. What I'm happy about
Jamaica
is that
can't stand that. A country can't stand that.
Exactly. I'm happy that it's happening everywhere in the world. So it's not that we are losing something that somebody else is getting. It's that something is just being stopped or paused. You get me?
Yes.
And it's going to be a very quick race in the next 4 to 8 weeks to see who can be open quickly and say, hey, guys, we're back. In fact, if you're hungry enough and you're skilled enough and you're running a big enough company or you have certain contracts that you want to get onto, I'm talking like mostly BPO here, but it's for anybody. You might very well have an opportunity over the next, I'll be generous and say 2 to 3 months, in which you can grab contracts that other people can't grab. Because, yo, the graphic designer, they're Florida, but Florida right now look wicked. But guess where things look good? In Jamaica. Click, click. I have that contract now. And you might do such a good job that you keep that contract for longer. And I think that is a lot of what is behind the try and control the curve, you know, flatten the curve sort of narrative. Because yes, it's not to overwhelm the hospital facilities, but it's also that at some point for the entire world, this is going to have to restart. And we need to be first out the gate. We need to grab those opportunities as soon as it happens. You notice what Proven do? Proven never cancel the APO, you know. Then postpone it and then give us a date. You know what I'm saying? By June, coughing, sneezing are fine. That have to come road. It's the same sort of thinking I'd bring to Carib Cement. So if you're buying Carib Cement, and it always comes back to what your personal goal is, but if you're buying Carib Cement and your timeline is longer than a year, this might be a blessing. Unless you think we're going to stop using cement.
No, I don't think so.
Styrofoam houses.
Styrofoam. Thank you very much, Janet. Do you have any other question?
No, that's it. Thank you, guys.
No, but thank you.
Good question. Thanks for your perspective.
So this is Bridget from Canada. I work
Bridget
in
from
IT.
Canada.
Hi, Bridget from Canada.
Bridget from Canada.
So I just saying, would you say like right now or 6 months from now, after COVID and everything, or like now that the markets are down, would you say that the Jamaica Stock Exchange is the better bet to put your money in versus like the New York Stock Exchange?
Ooh. If you have less than 10 million Jamaican, hell yes.
Okay then.
Yeah.
All right, that was easy.
Yeah, hell yes. I know it better. Yeah. I mean, it's good. Anybody can say, yo, we're talking on Zoom right now. So Zoom can move, right? Zoom probably move like 5% a day. That's great.
Zoom move already.
Right?
Zoom is way up, bro. Check it.
Yeah, but on the flip side, the US market is truly an advanced market. You don't play that market unless you know it. Yeah, I still like the Jamaican market above all else. And I am looking on certain things that I still think that as a Jamaican, we have an advantage above everybody else, right? I don't need a great analyst to explain why Wisynco is good to me, because everybody in PriceSmart had water in them thing. In them thing, right? Them cough and them going on. And what else? They have tissue, right? And if them start selling masks tomorrow, all happens to people will be even more excited. Big up a former guest of ours on this show, Manny Schwarter, who has been pushing heavily to help our doctors. I see him doing some masks. So 3D printing some masks, I think. So big up for that. But yeah, going back to like looking at the market and looking at like a Wisynco, I can tell when a Wisynco is moving easier than I can tell when TikTok is going to rise, right? Drake might do a new little video, and yeah, TikTok doing good, but I don't know what that means in terms of real dollars. But I know what no water on the shelf for 1 week means, right? Some things are easier to look at in the US market. Amazon in 2 years is going to be massive. This is a great opportunity for them. They're not wasting their crisis. The fact that them stop selling certain kinds of products to sell others just shows you how huge it is for them. But they're ingrained in the US society right now. In the same way in Jamaica, there are things that are ingrained. NCB is ingrained in Jamaican society. And you can tell when they're moving well. If suddenly people start buying a whole lot more cars, I know what that likely means for JetCon. If I hear that, First Rock come out with a scheme, and the scheme or a set of apartments, and the set of apartments is uptown, or is priced at 25 million on average, I know, say, wow, they must sell off immediately, right? And Kingston Properties, if I hear say, while everything is down and people are foreclosing, Kingston Properties came in and bought up 20 properties. I say, okay, that's great. If I look on JMMV, or this one is for you, Bridget from Canada. If I look on JMMV and I see what Sagicor Financial in Canada has done a huge dividend, and 22.5% of that dividend is going to go directly into JMMV's profit and loss statement, go directly into their bank account. And the same time I'm seeing JMMB at 38.14 when it was at 40 just the other day. That says to me that that's a percentage movement that I could not get anywhere else in the world. Or I could get someplace in the world, but I don't know any of them the way I know Jamaica. So Jamaica to me is still the best market. And I just talk about 3 little companies just now. There's so many more companies out there that we can touch. Then I don't think I support this point any better.
Jamaica is in Kingston, and you can see the scope of a business, then it's much easier to say, oh, cool, this business is doing well in the entirety of this business, versus USA in Florida, and this business is doing well in Florida, but elsewhere it's not the case. And they're spread across all of America. Just Florida is doing well. What you're seeing isn't the total view, and to make a bet on that might not be the best for you. So I agree the scope of that and the amount of information that comes in the US. A news report can be in one state. So one state newspaper make a news report about something that's very material to the business, but your state where you're looking just does not have it. Your analyst doesn't know look at it. Then you just missed on key information and you can make the wrong decision on the business. This is very often in looking at the American market or just looking at companies in this market, then you can see that happens. But it's much easier to verify versus US. So much information, you might read the wrong report because you read 50 reports and 51 have the thing you're missing.
All right. Bridget, did we answer the question sufficiently?
Yeah, man.
All right, great. Yeah, I still believe in the Jamaican market. The second I don't, you guys will hear first.
Hi, good night.
Good
okay, KR.
Alright. Resignos, I was the one who asked the question.
Okay, you have to give a little talking first, man. How are you doing?
I am well, thank you. Working from home some days. Every other day, actually.
What do I say? Your choice or the boss choice?
My choice.
Are you the boss, Kate?
No.
Okay, you want to tell us where you're fighting?
Kind of consultancy.
Oh, wow. You're unemployed like me.
Well, not... well, if you want to put it that way, but not quite.
I put it that way all the time, but I understand what you mean. I'm not unemployed at all, but yeah, I get you.
Right.
So what's your question?
Okay, my question was the one about signals. I'm new to the stock market. I started my first stock actually was Fontana in 2019. And I'm happy that I started with that one because if I had started now, boy, I don't know how my emotions would have been. But yeah, so Signals, I like the company because I've done what kind of research that would be now, I guess, qualitative. And I feel like the leadership of it is strong based on some questions I would have asked of some people about, how strong does the governance look? And also I actually did someone actually helped me look at the financials, look at the books, and they look quite solid. Right. I don't really understand everything, but I was learning the earnings per share thing, and I actually reached out to Dana and I was saying the PE ratio is almost exact to, what was it like? It was almost 20 times. So why do people love the company so much? But I think it's because of where it is going. That was my conclusion at the end of it, because it seems to me that it was things that are below, good companies that are below the market price that people normally go on for it to rise to the market price. But that one was almost at market weight. So it's a lot of concepts I'm trying to understand. But I like the company now. My question is their exposure to tourism based on their pie chart would be most in terms of loans, private equity that they give to the different sectors. With what is happening with the fallout in tourism at the moment, I was weighing between how will they react in terms of will people be defaulting on these loans? I don't know how tourism is structured. I know it's seasonal, but I don't know how easy it is to pay over the loans versus will persons take out more loans now because they need to recover and get back on track within the next 6 months to a year as people build up their confidence to travel. So I've been trying to figure that out. Haven't reached very, very far, but I'm hoping for the latter, which would be people taking out more loans to try and boost the recovery in tourism. I don't know what are the thoughts on that in terms of their exposure.
What is their exposure? How much of the business goes to tourism?
Yeah,
I know it's mostly based on the pie chart. The last one that I saw.
So what percent is in the pie chart, I'm asking?
Oh, I don't remember. I think it was like 30, was it 30 something? I think it was something like that, but I don't have it in front of me right now. But I know the last time I looked at it, it was something like that. I think the one previous to the last one wasn't, but I think that one is about, I don't know, but I know it was the majority.
At December 31st, 2019, they had in tourism, I don't see actual breakdown on what I'm looking at. I'm seeing hospitality being at 32%. So I'm assuming you are assuming hospitality is tourism.
You're right. It wasn't tourism that you said, it was hospitality. You're correct.
First lesson that we have to look at what's there, not what we want to be there or what we're afraid is there, right? So we have, right? That's not to say that hospitality isn't still going to get a hit. We can't knock that. It might get a hit because nobody's going out to bars and restaurants. No, I hope not. But they still have a hit to get there, I suspect, in the medium term. But then the second question I think would pop up now would be, what does Signus do for money? How do they actually make money? What are the agreements? You said they're giving loans, but it's not like they're giving loans willy-nilly like the bank. They specialize, according to them, and I'm paraphrasing here, but they specialize in a special kind of loan, special kind of bespoke loans, let us say, where they customize a loan for a specific client in a specific way, and then they cover themselves being Signus here, they cover themselves with their risk in a certain kind of way. And that way in which that they cover their risk is multiple things, but one of them is that they're called mezzanine. The simplest version is that if you can't pay, we'll take some of the shares in your company. So think of it like you lend $1 million to Creamy, and if Creamy can't pay you in 6 months, they have to give you $1 million worth of shares. So you still get paid. On the books you get paid. It's just that you don't get paid in cash. You get paid in kind. You get paid in in another way. And we forget that a lot of times in investing, what we invest in here is value, and what we're trying to receive is value. Not necessarily money. Money is a stand-in for value. I won't go back into that gold standard thing that we did the last episode, but money is a stand-in for value there, and a representation of value. And you don't want to ever be confused or being locked into thinking that just because something is happening now, they're going to miss out on the money. Because you're right, they've invested in a few places. We saw that article the other day that one part of the Signus group invested in Aruba wine.
Yeah, the Aruba.
Aruba Wines and Spirits.
Wine and Diner or something. So.
Yeah,
wines and Diner.
Yeah, whatever that thing is in Aruba, I'm pretty sure they're not having anybody right now in their space. So obviously things might be down, but we also have to assume that these companies had a little bit of cash flow. They had some money in the bank, or they can get a second loan, or maybe Signus can give an extension. We've seen companies do that. We see Pulse give up a little bit of rental for the rooms. In the same way, Signus could maybe do that. Or remember, Signus is built for lenders Signus is built to act as a lender that specializes in giving the sort of loans that the bigger banks might not give, or in terms that the bigger banks might not be okay with, which means that they are ready to take on companies that have a little bit more risk. And so they've padded themselves for the risk. Now, if this COVID thing lasts 6 to 8 months and nothing still not go on nowhere, then yes, I'd start to fret about the hospitality and tourism sector, not just for Signus, but for everybody, right? Especially Jamaica, because that is where our money still comes from. But if it is not being looked at that way, if you're not looking at it from that perspective, then you have to consider that, okay, 2 or 3 months, they might just get a small hit and the people still pay them anyway. Or worst case scenario, they now own shares in a company. And in a year, that company could do anything. They could list those shares, they could sell them back, all sorts of things. So we have to look a little deeper to see what the companies actually do, to know what are the things that actually affect them, and then to see how much they affect them. Along that line, so we've been talking, I want to give you guys just a couple of tidbits. I mean, I always give the example of Grace. I don't know if it was a prophecy or what, but I always give the example of Grace. I said that, when that thing happened with Grace a couple of years ago, with the corned beef factory having an issue, and it was on the news and people were freaking out. I mean, in terms of their sales, yeah, I mean, it might have a little bit of money up there. But the truth is, foods don't really make that much money for the Grace Group. what really make a whole heap of money for the Grace Group, which is what I always use as my example. I always use Grace and NCB because everybody know them. What I use as an example is what really makes money for Grace is not the foods. It's actually their money, their remittances.
Money services.
Money services, right. That's correct. The GK Financial Group. Now, recently, as you'd have heard, that with COVID, remittances to the island are down heavily. I think they said 20%. So if them said 20%, it's probably a little higher. That means that the thing that is getting them money, and I believe remittances are a huge part of their profit. So not what I was saying. I didn't say revenue. I said profit.
I actually looked at that, Randy, the other day because it came up and I was like, whoa, Grace making, I think based on it, I think it's 60 billion in terms of food, but the profit before tax is like 1.5 billion versus comparatively to, as you said, the money services that they would make, like, for example, probably like 5, and before pre-tax it would be like 2 point something. And I was looking at it, as I tell you, I'm not so hot on the financials.
Mm-hmm.
That just never made much sense to me in terms of the foods part, but I don't know. But I did notice that, as you said before, not revenue, but profit, there is about the regular person, as I was going along in life thinking that foods was the cash cow for Grace.
Most people think that, but then when you look at it, you say you're not that hot at the financials, but you might actually be a lot hotter at it than you realize. When you actually look at it, you're on the nose. All you can break down what their actual contribution is, and you can see. So now, am I fretting about Grace with the remittances being down? Actually, yeah. Now is when I'm looking at them and wondering. But at the same time, they were making big moves through their financial group recently, in my view, setting up to. So let's see how the timing on that works out. But I wouldn't be surprised if there is a bit of a hit to them. And what they have is money services to the entire region, so not just Jamaica. So, but again, sends
but Randy, what do
to
you
the
think
region
about...
are actually down. Sorry to cut you, but I just saying sends to the entire region are actually down. So it's not just Jamaica. What were you saying? What I think about?
I was saying Hilo is a part of Grace. I don't know if Hilo is is the supermarket that are the regular Jamaican would go to. Probably they will make up some of the sales
from there.
Even though
same,
foods,
it's the same thing. You just have to look to see what percentage of the Grace's business is Hilo. I can tell you Hilo is even smaller than foods. Hilo is not that big. It's good. It's an important part, but it's not that big. It don't register. Grace is a huge, massive group, not just in Jamaica. They're across the world, in Africa, then in England, and all kind of things, right? So Grace itself is huge. So Hilo in Jamaica is good, but it's not that huge a deal. Yeah, man. Remittances, however, is a major thing. That is actually a major hit. I am actually worried about Grace. If this thing lasts too long, I'd be truly worried about Grace. And I say worried about Grace, I mean like they might have a couple quarters of bad results. It don't mean that they're going out of business and, oh God, them teared on. Randy said Grace not good. Don't do that. That's not what I'm saying. But talking about maybe the next 2, 3, maybe even 4 set of results, I think things are rough. And the thing is, we've had for the last few decades, when things are rough in Jamaica, things kind of better in foreign, US, England, and so money can come in. But right now, as you can see, man, New York under pressure, Florida under pressure, right? London, England under pressure. And right now, we're in the midst of it, man, and the money for really send come back a yard, And what's more, every day I'm seeing on Instagram,
unemployment claim number.
Yes.
That might just be some Jamaicans that can't support them family out in a yard. So.
Yes. And a lot of, and unlike Jamaica, a lot of the US companies didn't wait. They sent people home immediately.
Yep.
So, and a lot of our BPO contracts being suspended or cancelled is as a result of those companies sending everybody home and going, right now business stops. So why the hell am I going to keep this contract? Let me cut it also. It's a blessing and a curse. It might be a blessing in a little bit, but right now it's a curse. I'm worried about that sector, and I am worried about Grace in the near term. Having said that, I don't usually say, but I will say I do own Grace shares, and I probably won't sell them for now. And I bought them relatively recently, so Yeah, if it dip, I might buy more based on my personal horizon, some things I'm looking for. But yeah, just on a fundamental basis in terms of looking at the business and what can happen to them, remittances is a major part of the business. And I think the hit that remittances is feeling might actually translate throughout the group. But hey, those guys are pretty genius. Let's see what they come up with, because these guys aren't slouching either, right? They're not just making things happen. They're making things happen to them.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you very much, Kay.
Thank
you. Thanks for your question.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. We've been doing this now for a little while. This episode, I don't want to have our usual long episodes, but we've been doing it for a good little while. So I want to thank everybody for...
It's already a usual long episode.
Yeah, it's already a usually long episode, right? And see if I can cut it down to 2 hours and a little bit. If not, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you again. I'm going to try and do more and more of this. You'll see more of this coming out. But what it is me just trying to ensure that we have a voice out there actually trying to help the regular, normal person with regards to their investing and their investment knowledge. All right. I hope this one was good enough for you. If you have anything else you want to say, now is the chance to say it. Boom, it has passed. It's too late. Danai, you have anything you want to tell the people before you go?
Yeah. Start investing. Keep investing. Look at everything, find an opportunity, and make that money.
Yeah,
that's
man,
all.
There's a whole heap out there. I've said it on a couple of episodes. I'll say it again. If you are getting started in investing, if you're thinking about jumping into the stock market, right now is the greatest chance you have to jump in. If you're already in and you feel like you're down on something, take a hard look at what it is that your portfolio is at and make some hard decisions. You're not in love with these companies. Feel free to sell something at a loss and jump into something else better later on. Yeah. I'll admit it, I actually sold a lot of NCB shares. Yeah, I sold a lot of NCB shares throughout the dip, and I put a lot of that money into Pulse. And Pulse has been growing heavily. And then, as you see what's been happening with Pulse, and this is in the middle of the noise, right? I even bought that, Guess. One guess. One guess. I'm giving you one guess.
Siboney.
Oh no, I still own.
I was guessing for guessing sake. Continue.
Yeah, but Fontana. I bought some Fontana.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, once it fell below $5, it was back into good territory for me. You know what? Already we have a conversation.
We don't have that talk, yeah, man. Many times.
I can't see it above $8, but at $5, the distance between $5 and $8 is nice to me. It's more than 50%. And I actually bought it below $4.
We consider getting for myself.
Yeah, so
I was thinking about that. The $3 plus sales nice for me. Might just jump in. I'll be considering it. What time, that go.
Yeah, I also grabbed up. Well, I mean, lab is always good, but lab is its own headache. I also saw options happening with cab brokers. I still don't know why the ticker is cab brokers instead of just cab, but yeah, cab I thought was an interesting one, and with the numbers that came out the other day, it turns out that it is exceedingly below value, right? I think in a little while we're going to have to see people recognizing it and it jumping in time. But I won't go too deep down the list. We have more coming. I think I've spoken long enough. So thank you guys for this episode. Thank you everybody who joined in live. And thank you, Danai, for being here. Thank you to our guest, Miss Jilly J.
Gordon. You got Gordon.
Gordon Swaby. Yeah, Chris from you and everybody else who joined in. So thank you guys very much. Look out for this. Yeah, this has been earnings season. I'm at RT Row on Twitter. I'm Randy Rowe in real life.
And I'm Danai.
And this has been earnings season, the Corona Curfew episode. Thank you.
Talk about it.
Carol Baskin.
Tweet about it.
Earnings season, bro.